he spent a good amount of the show letting everyone know that Arizona is now considered world beaters to him.
They have one of the best resumes in the NFL. I'll say that. If you put their wins and losses up against most teams, theirs are pretty impressive.
I like them. They're a fun team.
They got no chance in this game.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, the special election episode of the Pat Mayo Experience. But we're really just talking about the Week 10 spread picks, Cust Corner. Maybe we'll reveal Geoff and Tim's picks for the election. We'll see if we end up doing that. So you good people out there, smash the like to the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network, and use code Mayo at Underdog right now and unlock a free pick for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Whenever you want, you use code Mayo and sign up. You get yourself a free pick along with that $1,000 deposit bonus up to, mind you, and all the trades that went through today. Geoff, are you shocked about how many NFL trades dropped today? I know it got kind of drowned out in the online discourse, but there were more trades today than I feel like there was total in the NFL between like 2000 and 2010.
Well, the last couple years, there had been a huge uptick, I feel. And then when you consider coming into today, we already had Adams, Hopkins, Cooper. So, yeah, as active as ever.
Well, the coin is here. Paul and Jared are behind the camera and on the line right now to break this all down for us. It is Tim Undergust.
Tim Undergust.
That is not my name.
Are you ready to talk trades? The Jets made a trade.
Yeah, that I liked it.
Well, when was the last time a team gave up a top 10 receiver in the NFL for basically nothing, and you thought it was a good trade?
I never really wanted Mike Williams to begin with. He sort of thrust upon me. And he and Aaron didn't gel. And you know what? We don't need him. You know, we need to travel lightly as we climb to the top of Mount 11 and 6. And he's just not in the plans.
Geoff, do you remember someone calling him a top 10 receiver in the league?
I did say that. I was wrong. I'm not going to say I didn't say it.
But
I was wrong.
You just said
because
you
he
didn't
wasn't
want
healthy.
him. You just said you didn't want him anyway.
Well, it's not the receiver that I wanted. It wasn't. You will not find tweets from me back in March saying, "Gee, I hope we sign Mike Williams." I didn't hide him behind a stack of other children's hats like Geoff did with that USA hat to fool people so that I could get him at a discount price. I didn't do that.
I didn't try to get a discount. I just didn't want to lose the hat. And I wasn't the cash, like the payment processing was down and the line was huge. And I'm like, I'm here all week. I'll just get it another day. So I put the hat strategically in a different location. That's proactive. I don't know. You call it what you want.
It's like the Seinfeld episode where George hid the suit so that he could purchase it later.
I mean, I think a lot of people out there have done what I did.
Really? You think a lot of people have gone into retail environments, seen something they wanted to purchase, but not purchase it right now, but rather hide it amongst other clothes from the demographic it doesn't belong in to pick it up at a later date and purchase it? You think this is a common human experience instead of a laughable, unusual, quirky, insane behavior? That's your position. Let's do a straw poll here. Have you ever done that, Pat?
I have not, actually. No, I have not.
Have Jared ever done that?
Is that the weirdest thing you've ever heard of, though?
No, it's not the weirdest thing because there was a whole Seinfeld episode about it. But is it weird? Is it antisocial behavior? Yes.
Wow.
No, I don't think it's antisocial. I think it's more like a paranoia. Whatever. Good backtracking from you, spending all summer telling the world how amazing Mike Williams is.
Oh yeah, there is the list. There's Cust
surgery.
list of the best receivers in the league up on the screen right now. Mike Williams, number 10.
Did I not stipulate 6 seconds ago that I said this?
But you also just told us in text today you never wanted him anyway.
I never really did want him. But
you wouldn't want a top 10 receiver in football, is what you're saying.
It's one thing to be insane. It's one thing to be insane, most insane. It's another to sort of just blow up your credibility in 3 minutes here.
I liked his spin, though. His spin back to you was very good. Good deflection on his part.
He's politics is the mood, and that was like a very political response he gave. Well, while taking, I did admit fault, but it still wouldn't make sense why someone wouldn't want that good of a receiver on their team.
He's not healthy. He's not the receiver that he was. I was sold a bill of goods, and I hope he does well in Pittsburgh. I wish him no ill. I like most people who leave the Jets. I wish him no ill will. I just am ready to move on with Devonta Adams and with Garrett Wilson. And again, I think the best receiving core in the AFC.
And on that note, because as all those we love underdogs, promo code Mayo.
There you
But
go.
all the fantasy underdog best ball bros freaking out about what the Chargers were going to do at receiver because Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were gone. How many balls they catch the last few weeks?
Keenan
They
Allen.
didn't realize that Quentin Johnson was the second coming of Tim Brown.
Well, shout out to Jake Seeley, because Jake was always on the Quentin Johnson, like very Anthony Richardson-esque, but from a receiver standpoint, like this is a developmental prospect. He was drafted as a developmental receiver, got thrusted into a role last year because of injuries. Take a breath, give him a chance to develop.
Okay, so Mike Williams gets traded to the Steelers for a 5th-round pick, going back to the Jets. The Steelers also picked up Preston Smith from the Packers to shore up their depth at edge rush as well. Steelers trying to make some moves here. Tim, do you think they're like a real contender for the Super Bowl?
I mean, they weren't as constructed because and the answer still is no, because their quarterback just talent doesn't allow them to compete. Like as soon like they have a ceiling. They're one of those teams when your quarterbacks are Russell Wilson circa 2024 and Justin Fields. What you don't have is the capacity to get to that next level and win. Like they have a ceiling. These trades help them, I think. They help to fill some holes. I'm not surprised to see the Packers be sellers. They're not a very good team.
Well, they're not really.
I say that tongue in cheek. I don't really mean that. But I think that the Steelers trades make sense. It improves them, and they're going to be a dogfight for the division. But no, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender because I don't think a team that doesn't have a really good quarterback can win the Super Bowl.
I would put them. I mean, despite having beaten the Chargers, Herbert was playing on half an ankle, and I mean, I would concede they're probably still better than the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are Super Bowl contenders, but like Pittsburgh, maybe like both of those teams, I believe, have the capability and the profiles to cause the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, the sort of clear pack ahead of them in the AFC, a potential problem in a one-off.
Yeah,
but I don't know that they can run off 3 in a row versus that group of teams.
They can't win 4 playoff games, I don't think, against 4 good quarterbacks.
That would be the difficult part because you think their offense gets shut down at some point, and that like with Pittsburgh is bolstering its defense and the Chargers defense. Geoff, I saw the Pro Football Network said they have the best defense in the league right now. That if you have the number 1 defense, you can steal a game from anyone. But I think Tim's right, winning 4 in a row based off that. We've seen teams like kind of do it. Like, could Pittsburgh this year be like the Giants were with Eli Manning? Like, can Russell Wilson elevate himself to the level of Eli Manning with his shit receivers and their defense just carries them the whole time? Why not?
I don't think so.
No, I'm saying no. I'm just going out on a limb and saying no, but I guess that is to win the Super Bowl. That is the comparison, I guess.
I mean, Russ hasn't looked that washed up in his 2 starts so far.
Nope. He's looked lovely, especially in that the first game back. No, which one was the less so than the Giants game?
The Jets game was his first.
Oh
game.
yeah. Look lovely.
Just getting fluky circus catches all over the place from underthrown passes.
Well, I feel like this is actually a very good fit because isn't that exactly what Mike Williams does, Geoff?
Yeah, and
he can't run routes. You know that.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he can run a crisp route right now, but Russ Wilson does love like just the hero up chuck. I thought he could do that for Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, Wilson's not afraid to just chuck it up there, and that is Mike Williams' profile. Mike Williams, he's always been a bit of a fragile player, and it was a significant injury. It was a bad ACL tear, and just watching him, he doesn't look himself. Like, he doesn't seem like a guy who trusts that he's fully back from his injury, and having experienced him his whole career, that's very on brand for Mike Williams. But at a moment, like, it'll take just one moment for him to realize he might is okay, and maybe he can unleash what he's good at.
What do you think was the most impactful of all these trades? Because there was two defensive trades by two upper-end NFC teams. So Zadarius Smith goes from the Browns to the Lions to fill in basically for the Aiden Hutchinson role to generate more pressure from the defensive line. I think that's a huge boost to their defense, which was already, at least statistically, very good. If Lattimore is healthy, though, Tim, on Washington, I mean, we joked about St. Just over and over about how this guy is just not he can't lock down anyone, let alone the team's like first number one receiver. But maybe if you thrust him into the number 2 role where he has to kind of wander around or try to lock down the secondary option, you have Lattimore doing a good job if he is healthy. I don't know if it fixes their pass defense, but it makes it a whole lot better.
I don't think you can fix the pass defense, but yeah, I mean, look, I agree with you. Lattimore is still a really, really good player, and that he gives a boost of energy to that defense. And also, if you're a team like the Commanders, you think my team obviously has a ton of my ownership and group have a ton of faith in me that they're making a big trade here to bolster our chances. I don't know that the Lions need. I mean, not having Hutchinson hasn't affected them in the least yet.
Yes.
So so making this trade is sort of betting on the come a little bit. Thinking that eventually you're going to need that pass rush,
Which you absolutely will.
Which you may, or well, if you know this team is kind of
man.
a wagon.
If
I don't know, man.
You want to win the
I don't
Super
know.
Bowl, you're
We'll
going to
see.
need to attack in waves.
I like both trades a lot. I like it a little better for Washington. I think it helps them a little more immediately with a little more immediate of a problem. That's my opinion. But I like both trades a lot.
I think Tim's right on this. I think the Lattimore thing is more impactful for Washington because they needed to vastly improve on that side of the ball. And it actually works out really well because if you can have a lockdown corner to take away the top option on the other side of the ball when teams are now actively having to come back against you, one thing it pairs really well with on Washington is they can already get to the passer. They already generate a ton of pressure. And now if you can not have Malik Neighbors just getting open after taking 3 steps every single time, then that's a huge win for them. Whereas with Detroit, it just makes a good unit even better and gives them more outs and more depth. But we already knew that they were going to be really good. Like, they could win the Super Bowl with or without Smith. Lattimore on Washington, I think, makes them, I don't want to say like a serious threat to win the NFC, but they're certainly live. They're as live as Green Bay was last year, who almost went to the Super Bowl.
I mean, these trades, to be fair, are on like 2 completely different tiers. Clearly, Lattimore's probably the more impactful player. And yeah, Washington, they're respecting the work that's been done. They have a ton of cap room. They got all their draft picks.
But,
like
but if you're Washington right now, like, why you make this trade is you look at the NFC, you see the Lions, and then you're like, we could be the second best team. And in a coin flip weird scenario in the playoffs, Geoff just has a bad quarter or something, we could beat the Lions. It could happen.
There's a lot of equity to be gained here in going to chase this from a brand new ownership group as well. They're in the perfect spot, and like you've already alluded to, it fills a need. It fills a need that they would probably have to, use draft capital on anyway. And at the moment in time, they're set up lovely with the cap, especially having that rookie contract. These are sometimes the moves you make. You made it. And like you said, Pat, the road, there's not many teams. Like, the division they got the division in their hands. They're not even just chasing a wild card here. So the opportunity to host and win playoff games, good for them.
We'll see.
I mean, having Lattimore for next Thursday when they play Philadelphia, and I assume AJ Brown will probably be back by then. Having him that's such a massive Thursday game next week. Lattimore will make a huge difference because they're in a dogfight for the division in a way that Detroit, it's not over in the NFC North, but like they're the significant favorite at this point to win the division.
And Lattimore's healthy. That injury, like, yes, he was hurt, but they weren't playing him. They were trading him. They knew it. And, they did exactly what we've seen other teams do there. He'll be off that injury report quickly.
Was the Detroit-Minnesota game in Minnesota or Detroit earlier this year? It was in Minnesota, wasn't it?
I think that's correct.
Yeah, because they have one more game.
Like a dome.
Like that's not really helping us out on this one. But if Minnesota can beat the Lions, I mean, theoretically, I guess technically they would be tied for the division lead, wouldn't they?
I'm pulling up who's played whom.
Yeah.
It was at Minnesota.
Yeah, so if they go into Detroit and win, like let's say it was this week, they'd both be 7-2 with the split season series.
What?
Yeah, because
the
Vikings.
The Vikings certainly have a chance. But if Sam Darnold keeps playing the way he's playing, they don't have a chance. Sam Darnold is actively trying to lose them games. He's been awful the last couple of weeks. We'll get to that when we get to the Vikings next. But like something has to give because they are sort of living on a little bit of fairy dust right now.
Looks like Dak's going to the injured reserve, so Cooper Rush is going to start. But it didn't stop Geoff from trading for Jonathan Mingo, a 4th-round pick. When Jonathan Mingo is available, and it's a Mingo, you got to make that trade.
Yeah, I don't understand that one bit.
Horrible.
It's getting panned hard.
He must just love him. He must just like Mingo and think he's going to be an impactful player for several years to go.
Did he go to Arkansas and I just didn't notice?
No, he was somewhere small, like Holy Cross.
Did someone offer them did they turn down a 5th for Mingo? A 6th? Like I just don't really understand it.
Like if you can't crack the field on this Panthers offense as currently constituted, I'm shocked they didn't have to throw in a 4th-round pick to get rid of the guy.
He played at Ole Miss. Sorry.
The fact, I mean, the Panthers take a lot of L's these days. This was a nice win for them. That's no chump change, that 4th-rounder. So good for them. I would say probably the biggest winner of any trade today was the Panthers getting that 4th for him.
Like, what did Hopkins just get traded for? Like a 5th or a 6th?
5th. Deontay was like a comp swap of 6 and 7s potentially.
But as you pointed out, they were just looking to get rid of him, weren't they?
Yeah, sure. But even Mike Williams goes for this 5th. I'm genuinely surprised that with 1/3 of the league at 2-9, it feels like, with just 2 wins through 9 weeks, I thought we would see more trades. I'm shocked Jacksonville is the same roster they went to sleep with.
I thought the Dolphins I thought the Dolphins would divest themselves of something as well.
I don't know what the Dolphins can give up, though, is the thing. Like, who do they trade?
I don't know. There's got to be people on that roster making too much money for a team that's going nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, Ramsey probably makes too much money, but did anyone really want to inherit? Because he just signed a new deal, didn't he? Like, Javon Holland is hurt. Tyreek and Waddle aren't going anywhere. Tua's not getting traded. It's not like they have an overflow of great D and O linemen that they can get rid of. So I don't feel like there was anything on the table for them.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm a little disappointed the Chargers weren't. I shouldn't say they weren't active because they were in on quite a few players. They were in on Deontay Johnston. They were in on Mike Williams. Rossini reported they were made an effort to bring him back. 5 minutes before Lattimore got traded, Schefter was on McAfee and said, watch for the Chargers in this one. There were some links that they were potentially talking to the Jags about Evan Ingram. May have been a reason why I chirped the Jags for not trading anyone a minute ago.
I think
DJ Chark is coming back.
Hey, I think that's a really bad fit, though, Evan Ingram to the Chargers, because the Chargers have built this stable of capably decent tight ends, but they're there to block. Like, between Disley, I mean, I guess Hurst is your receiver, but it's not even like they run him out there all the time. If you trade for Evan Ingram and his contract, you kind of have to play him on the field all the time, and dude can't block. And he has terrible hands. Let's not forget about that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you just put it out there that the brand doesn't fit, but I'll tell you this, Pat. The Chargers are more likely to score from 3rd and 13 from the 30 than 3rd and 6 from the 6.
I agree with you.
That is my concern with the Chargers is, okay, everything's kind of fine, except I don't know how they'll score from the 7-yard line on 2nd down and 3rd down. Unless JK busts one for 6.5 or gets in.
It's
So that's my concern at the moment, but we'll get there.
They feel like they're just much better underdogs than favorites in a weird way. That the style of play that they have limits really good teams, and their big strike capability can let you score from distance and pile up those early points and just try to grind everything out through running and defense. It's just weird to see them, even this week, what are they, 7.5 point favorites? And I know that they've covered some of those numbers already this year. It feels a bit squishy with them sometimes.
You're right, but if you do look at they haven't played, other than the Mahomes game and everything with the Chiefs and their offense is an asterisk, right? They haven't played a high-end QB, and then they're going to get Burrow, Lamar, Cousins, Mahomes in a run. So I honestly don't know what to make of. Like, everything's awesome, but they have shown, while they haven't played a high-end QB, every like middle or below QB that they have played, they really do
they make them look bad.
They make them look like as bad as they make all shitty QBs look shitty consistently, it seems. So that's encouraging, because the old Chargers would make shitty QBs look pretty good. So that's that. But we're probably in for a rude awakening coming down the road. That's okay. We're just can't let Tim catch us, you know?
Paul, this one's for you. The Ravens traded for Tre'Davious White from the Rams today for a 7th round pick. 3 years ago, would you have found that fathomable? A 7th round pick for Tre'Davious White?
No. I mean, we paid him like $20 million a year. But reports, everything that I've heard from Rams fans and everything like that, like looking on any posts, is that he's been like getting absolutely burned, and frankly he never really fully recovered from, like, he injured his knee or his Achilles or something like that with the Bills. He was never really fast in the first place.
It hasn't been the same since that one.
Obviously it's gotten worse.
Yeah, just like Sauce Gardner taking up golf. He's been shit ever since. He's too focused on Tim, you know how it is when you're always practicing your swing. Maybe your fundamentals for other things get off.
Yeah, sure. Sauce didn't actually play that badly on Thursday night, I thought, though. Made a couple of really nice plays.
The other trade, Zach Moss got, like, this neck injury he has is going to keep him out for the rest of the season. So the Bengals swapped a 7th round pick for Khalil Herbert with the Bears. That makes sense. The Bears had too many running backs. The Bengals were in need of someone competent. Khalil Herbert, entirely competent. So, the Chase Brown, if you had Chase Brown in fantasy, Geoff, it was good for 1 week. And now we might have someone back to take away all those carries.
Yeah, you know me and my home league and our crazy rules and our limited drops. I own Zach Moss, and him going on IR is a free drop. So that is good. It's actually incredibly valuable.
Good news. Good news for you then. The big winner of the trade deadline was you.
So anytime you get one of your goobers, jabronis getting an IR designation, it's like the greatest thing that can happen for you in that pool.
I guess the last bit of news we should talk about that came out today was actually, this came out on, I think, Sunday, directly after the game. Vegas essentially fired everyone, not Antonio Bryant, or Antonio Pierce, not Antonio Bryant. Tim has come up like 5 times in the past 5 days with me, but Antonio Pierce not fired.
We kept watching his highlights on Saturday night.
Well, that's true. He came up, then I had to watch that catch that he made against Carolina over and over and over from that Monday night game in the end zone. But Geoff, they hired Norv Turner as their offensive assistant to go along with his son.
I mean, they hired Antonio Pierce. That's a mistake that's going to reverb. We'll see how quickly Brady can get in there and fix it.
Norv Turner has not been a bad offensive coach. Everywhere he's gone. Like, he's not the greatest head coach. He flamed out in Oakland when he was there.
He and Wade Phillips are like the same guy.
Yeah, they're really good at what they do when they're just coordinators or coaches. They're not great head coaches. Like, I actually think it's a pretty reasonable hire.
I don't at this point. Like, you bring in a 72. I mean, it's not like he's calling the plays, but you bring in a 72-year-old Norv Turner, and one thing that he was able to do for the past, I mean, minus the last like 5 years or so, but for those 20 years from 2000 to 2020 or whatever it might have been, is that he seemed like he was ahead of the curve with RPO stuff. He was really good with working with fast quarterbacks, and the league just wasn't ready for that. Now all the teams run that stuff.
I mean, he obviously got his credibility from being the OC in those Dallas Super Bowls, and then for years on TV, in the same way Manning couldn't elevate a profile of a coach. Troy Aikman, would often, elevate the profile of Norv Turner. That's his guy. Fully, like that's his favorite coach ever. So they love each other for that. And he's a good offensive coordinator. I don't know what he can offer the Raiders at this point. Like the Raiders involve too much hope in their strategy. And I mean, they hired Tom Telesco. That's the retread GM they hired. That's the retread GM. Who hasn't hit on like a day 2 or day 3 pick for the Chargers in years.
They don't have a quarterback. As long as their quarterbacks are Minshew and O'Connell,
And
they
Ritter.
can't win games.
They have Ritter now.
Like, this is a team that like really needs the first pick in the draft, I think, more than anybody.
I don't even think they need the first pick, because even if they get to like 3 or 4, I think Dion calls the bluff of the league and sends his kid there. Like, I know that's a narrative, like, it's not even a hot take, but I actually believe it.
Do you think that Dion goes with him?
Very probable. Very probable. And I wouldn't be shocked if they even have the first overall pick and they trade up for another pick and they get Hunter and the son, and Dion goes there.
I mean, that if you want to lead First Take every morning, Dion coaching the Raiders with his son and Hunter is the move to do.
Like, I know that could be First Take crazy, but I think they could have the first pick on their own. Like, no one's going to give that to you. So once they have that pick on their own, he can then go get the son when the son is saying, I'm not playing for anyone else. That can like let him fall into a pick where they can come back and get it.
It's like when the Canucks had to trade up.
Work.
Had to trade up to draft both Sedin twins at like the second and third pick because they wouldn't go to anybody else.
That kind of worked out for the Canucks, though. They were good in the Sedin era.
They were. They got to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, and then there was that riot in Vancouver when they lost to the Bruins.
Yes, that did not work out well.
My wife was in Vancouver at that time during the riots. She didn't know what the hell was going on.
Well, doesn't seem like the place to be, actually.
No, if you're just walking around not knowing what hockey is or paying attention to it, like, why are people freaking out like this? Then,
well, you show up to like a hockey party to get drunk and Antifa shows up, like, shit. Like, that's essentially what I think happened. I know there's a ESPN doc on it. I should watch it, but it's so like bothersome. I got into it a few minutes and turned it off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't like it. Not that it was bad. It's just like, I don't know. It just made me uncomfortable.
Oh, by the way, I think I was confusing Norv Turner's resume with Greg Roman's resume, by the way, now that I think about it.
Possibly. I mean, look, Norv Turner got the most possible he could have out of those Chargers players, and he got 3 Super Bowls out of those Dallas players. I think Norv Turner's a good offensive mind. I don't think he's fit to be a head coach, but the Raiders have such inexperience in the coaching, in the head coach and in the front office. I actually think Norv Turner provides some transitional stability, and I don't hate it.
They have like Marvin Lewis. It's just such a.
So, what's wrong with bringing in competent people who,
Okay,
they haven't won the Super Bowls, but they were very competent, and their winning record is somewhat successful in the league?
It's just low hanging fruit for every football fan who knew how badly like Antonio Pierce long term, not like job through the holidays, December, like actually works in the NFL.
The Raiders, as they're hiring people right now, and the strategy that they're using reminds me a lot of the strategy that we used, Geoff, when we worked at Fantasy Sports Network, where we had all of these people who were very familiar with new media and where the business was going and what we should be doing and where to focus our energies. But instead, they hired a bunch of people who worked in TV like 15 years ago, and they're like, hey, I got the plan. It's what we did 15 years ago. They're out of business.
I know like no one will really know what you mean, kind of, but as someone that knows exactly what you mean, that's actually a perfect freaking analogy.
Yeah, just you're putting the decision making into the hands of people who, Tim, you're right. These are competent people, but they've been out of the loop for a while now, and it's not like they were the most successful people going 15 years ago as it was anyway.
Yeah, I just think that with the lost season, you might as well bring people who have got some stability in place. And then I suspect next year it'll be a wholesale change. Like I don't think Pierce will survive into next season. I think that there'll be several people who are vying to coach the Raiders. It's a very attractive city to coach in, and I think a roster that you have a lot of money you can play with. So.
It really depends on their pick. Because with Brady now as a part of the ownership group, doesn't this seem like the perfect Vrabel spot?
True.
Or Belichick.
Yeah. No.
You don't think so? I think Belichick, this would be a perfect spot for him.
No,
Jacksonville seems more like if I've got a thought on Belichick, but Jacksonville seems like more of the spot. I actually think has no interest in it. I believe he's going to decide he doesn't want to. He gets to work 3 hours a week, makes incredible money, and he's just chomping on that Viagra Blue Chew laying pipe. Like, you think he wants 20-hour days right now to scheme? I don't know that.
He's not a young man. Not a young man. I think it's more likely that Pete Carroll comes back and coaches than Belichick. I think Belichick enjoys being brought up as the guy who can come in and fix franchises yet never comes back. Like, think about how long Cowher was that guy. It was like, oh, if they could just sign Cowher to come back. He's like, and he would always kind of like toy with the idea. You know, it probably feels good that everyone points to you like, hey, you're the guy who could come in and save us. He's like, I'll just stick with CBS. It's fine.
Assuming that Eberflus hits the door this year, I think Pete Carroll would be such a perfect head coach in Chicago. I would love him there.
I actually agree with you. I think he'd be great for Caleb Williams. You have the USC connection there as well. And that is the sort of team that could use someone who's just like fired up at all times.
Exactly. And they've got good defensive pieces, and he's a good defensive coach. I think he would be a hand in a glove there if that was optional.
With the way the season has shaken out right now with all these teams, because I think a lot of the coaching and the personnel decisions, Geoff, are going to be based on where the draft pick goes. But you could see a Sanders in New Orleans.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of potential places, but it's just such a cluster for the top of the draft right now. Like Carolina is literally gotten itself into a position where they could be drafting 7th. I don't think they will, but it's just all jumbled. It's hard to get a read on how that will actually play out. Like I said, 9 teams currently have 2 wins. There is a clear like have and have nots that I feel like we haven't seen this sort of separation in the standings very much historically in the NFL.
Yeah, there's a big justice of position between the good teams and the bad.
Well, yeah, that's a wise way to put it.
Oh, late breaking news here, Paul. Jordan Phillips heading back to the Bills per his Instagram. That's helpful.
Nice.
Bills had to do something, I suppose. You get Amari Cooper, you get Jordan Phillips, and just increase your depth at this point. All right, before we get into the recap, you guys wanted to share your election maps. It's the only election stuff we're going to do. So, Paul, can you bring it up?
I actually didn't suggest that I wanted to share it. But
well, too late. It's on the screen.
So I will share it.
So as you can see, Geoff and I agree on 48 of the states. He gives Pennsylvania to Trump and North Carolina to Harris, which gives Trump the presidency. And I give North Carolina to Trump and Pennsylvania to Harris, and I give Harris the president.
It's a low confidence.
No, you can't talk like that, Geoff. Everyone I have followed online declares it's either a Trump blowout or a Harris blowout. There's no close in this election. Someone is going to win every state, according to the internet.
Listen, here in Canada, I'll be honest, it is just absolute political theater. I mean, I love you guys either way, but it's just absolute political theater. It's enthralling. It's like watching like bigger than Game 7 of the World Series when you're like, for the most part, neutral. Despite like people think I have hardcore leanings, I actually I don't.
I was going to give Geoff actually a lot of credit for the restraint he showed in his map, because you can be sure his buddies on Rumble have at least 400 electoral votes being cast for Donald Trump. So my
Canadian buddies on Rumble got 8 homeless people in a van and went to New York to vote this morning, Tim.
What?
Oh my God. What?
They don't you don't need ID or anything. So Yeah, just go head over there.
I like the the
Go to
high
the
level.
cemetery.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
find a couple dead names and then
And
walk
he-
into a polling station
And
just
head
have a
and
day.
make it and head to a state which is going to be carried by 25 points.
No, I heard some guys, it's a toss-up now.
Oh, New York
I'll be-
State's a toss-up, is it?
Yeah,
Well, all these
toss-up.
vans are coming in.
Yeah.
All these vans are coming in of
I
Jeff's
just-
buddies casting ballots.
If anyone wants to know what I'll be doing tomorrow, is I will be watching content all day from the losing team. All day.
You're so masochistic.
humor.
I'm with you. I
Humor?
really,
No.
I really want both sides to lose really bad.
Here in Canada, we'll take care of our business, and when it's our turn, we got our problems. But it's like when Canada's bad, it's like when the Chargers are bad. It's not a story on NFL Network. When America's got problems, it's like when the Cowboys got problems. Like that's as big of a story as when the Cowboys are good. And I'm just so fascinated by it. But what will not lose tonight is the jokes. If you could stay not care too much either way, the humor will be undefeated tonight. It will be one of the all-time great nights on the internet, and I love the internet.
Jeff is right. Both sides so richly deserve to lose that I will thoroughly enjoy whichever side manages not to carry the day, pretend like this is the worst thing ever when it isn't, no matter who wins or loses. Yeah, I'm with Jeff.
Paul wants to chime in on this. Yes, Paul.
Yeah, I saw somebody saying something sketchy was going on at like a polling station in Arkansas. It's just like if you were ever going to fix this election, like having Arkansas go blue would be such a dead giveaway, right? That if you have half a brain, you would do a little bit more of a finagle if you're going to fix it.
Yeah, obviously you go to New York State. Like the Einsteins that Jeff is listening to.
It was just a joke. It's just a joke.
It wasn't a joke until Tim explained it out. So anyway, that's all I really want to do on it. I'm going to go home. I'm going to edit this show. I'm going to go home. I'm going to have a glass of wine with my wife, watch an episode of The Mentalist, and I'm going to go to bed and see how this all turned out. But let's get into the recap for last week. Tim, you're running away with the spread picks competition right now. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, and there was lots of runway for me to mess up. But I'm glad to know that I have a cushion. You're saying I have a big lead in the early vote,
yeah,
and I can't be caught. And if I am caught, it's rigged. That's what you're saying.
That is, that is precisely what I'm saying. You were 9-6 last week. That improves you to 1 game over 500, which is good enough for a big lead over Jeff and
Hooray!
I was 6-9, so I'm 58-73. Jeff was 5-10, so he's 59-72. The coin was 8-7 and does remain 1 game ahead of you. But in our 3-way competition, you are up by 7 games over Jeff right now in the spread pick competition. We all won our super locks though. I mean, you guys are trying to keep up with me. I'm 8-1 with my best bets in terms of the super lock so far each week. That's going well. I need that to keep up. Jeff is 5-3, and Tim, you're up to 3-6, and you won a teaser again, so you're 3-6 in the teasers.
3 times in 4 weeks.
There you go.
I think I've won 4 super locks in a row, and I make no ground on Pat.
No, I lost week 2, and I've won ever since. Well, I actually diversified last week because I didn't just bet against Carolina. I just took Washington. So I think I've used Washington 4 times now and bet against Carolina 3 times, and those have been my super locks.
And I took the Chargers last week because people with their Jameis shit, and I love Jameis. Remember when Philip left, Tim, and I was like, I want the Chargers to bring in Jameis?
Yes.
I love Jameis, but you people lost your minds on what Jameis Winston is. So that was good, but I'll declare after back-to-back Chargers Superlock wins, I will not use them maybe again for the whole season.
I mean, are you kidding me? They're playing a team coming off an overtime game. If you don't at least consider them for Superlock this week, I'll be very disappointed.
I'm not really considering them this week.
You should be. I'm considering them this week. But we'll start with Thursday Night Football. Cincinnati at Baltimore. All the lines are coming from CoolBet this week. And CoolBet, the new sponsor of the Dogger Pass podcast with Paul Shaughnessy and Cody Saftik on Mayo Media Network. You can always catch that UFC breakdown show every single Wednesday. Code Dogger Pass. Get you a bonus over there. More details on that show if you want to go watch it. But shout out to our friends over there. welcome to the Mayo Media Network family. But what you really need to do for Thursday Night Football is use code Mayo and get that Lamar free square. Tim, we spoke about this briefly on the Sunday night show when you didn't want to talk about any of the games, but you and I both thought that we really liked Baltimore at -6 here.
Yeah, and I haven't changed my opinion on it. I don't see how the Bengals defense is going to be able to stop what the Ravens can do. The only chance that's I believe that Cincinnati has is that this turns into a complete shootout, and they cover because they lose by 4 or lose by 5. I haven't done this all year. I'm putting Baltimore on the teaser. I'm teasing them down to a pick, and I don't like the Bengals' chances here. I think this is an extremely tough game on short rest in Baltimore, and the Ravens I think are just clearly. The spread shows it. They're clearly a cut above, and I don't think they can hang. So I like Baltimore here.
I will be tracking Tim's picks this coming run here, just based on how he will only be siding on the games that improve the Jets' playoff probabilities. So that's where I believe his capping strategy will be coming from for the next few weeks.
Listen, it's not my most confident play on the board, but I do think that Cincinnati is weirdly overrated. They beat the Panthers, the Browns, the Giants, and the Raiders. Those are their 4 wins. Every time they played a decent team, they just get run out of town. They lost by 1 to the Chiefs. They lost by 3 to the Commanders. They lost to the Patriots. They lost to the Ravens already. And what was a pretty close game, a boat race type game. It's just, I just don't feel like they can keep up with this iteration of the Ravens right now, especially in Baltimore, Jeff.
I don't even believe Higgins will practice.
I don't think he's
or
playing.
play as someone who owns him in multiple pools.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing.
Like, he didn't practice once last week, and it's short. So I guess they've already had practices. They would have had an injury report out already.
Yes, he missed theoretical practice on Monday. I didn't see the Tuesday report.
I don't think, for all the talent, it doesn't seem like the Bengals do very much. Do a lot very well right now. So I've got to take just the team, what I believe is a much better team with the short week.
Yeah, that's a round of Baltimore because the coin is going the same way as well. It wouldn't surprise me, I suppose, if Cincinnati won, Tim, because they could be the team that, they had the, bad first 9 weeks. A lot like the Niners. Like, if the Niners just reeled off 8 straight wins, you'd be like, oh yeah, of course the Niners did that. Cincinnati, I think, is like the cut below the Niners in that sort of conversation. But if they get it all together, I could see them being really good. It's just, I have no evidence to point to that right now.
Sure. I'm a little less confident that they have the ability to put it all together, but this is a lot of points in division. If you told me you're going to take Cincinnati against the spread, I wouldn't be shocked by any means, but to win this game, I don't think they have the horses to do it.
All right. Well,
I feel actually strongly about 4 or 5 games this week, and this is one of them.
All right. Well, we're not going to Munich as of yet. We're going to SoFi, Jeff. Tennessee at the Chargers. We always bury the Chargers towards the end of the show. They're good. I've heard from you they're already going to win the Super Bowl, and now they're favored by 7.5 points against your arch rival, Les Titans. Do you like the Chargers to cover this number?
Yeah, I like the Chargers to cover the number. I never said their Super Bowl team. Will know in a month if they're capable of being that sort of team. Because after this week, they can win. They can get to 6-3. But their next 4 games would be Bengals, Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs.
That sounds like 4 losses.
So that'll be.
So you're going to be going from 6-3 to 6-7. Best case scenario for this team, 7-6. Best case scenario, because they may beat the Falcons.
They might be the Bengals at home too.
I got maybe Bengals coming off extra rest. I think the Chargers need this game desperately. This is the game they need to put in the win column because they can't afford to lose.
Well, okay, so, maybe Tim is right, but I can tell you I have started to really dissect the schedule, and there are the requisite wins there for them to get to the playoffs.
But this has to be one of them.
Game.
You have to win this game.
They'd have to win this game, but there are the other wins to get them to what I believe the quota number would be there. I don't believe they're going to drop 4 games in a row, because there's just too much of an identity, too much of a program, too much of a sound system that's happening like Tuesday through Saturday, and a strategy to win football games.
If you give them losses against the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, you need them to basically win 2 of 3 against the Falcons, Bucks, and Broncos, which is a game which
I like that.
At the Falcons, it'll probably be a
tough one.
2-point spread. Like it'll be 3 at worst. So that's a coin flip game. They'll probably be favored in the other 2. Then they have to knock off the Patriots and Raiders in the final 2 weeks in games where they'll probably be 7-point favorites. So if they can win 2 of those 3, and assuming they don't pull off an upset against the Bengals, Chiefs, or Ravens, and then they're at 10 wins.
But a lot of teams are losing. A lot of good teams are losing games to the Patriots right now. So don't worry about that.
This is a team. They haven't built this in their vision yet. They are still a lot of riffraff
vision
that they have turned around from last year's roster. And as expected, Jim Harbaugh coming in from college in a way that Pete Carroll did would have an outstanding draft class as he enters the league. And holy shit. I mean, up and down the board, these guys contribute. We've got multiple like day 3 picks starting at corner, making plays. But they play. They're ready to play. There's a strategy to win each week, and there's a quarterback who can make the small handful of not human plays that can be the difference in the games.
Well, I'm glad you got flex to Sunday night next week because I want to see identity. I want to see program, whatever that means that you've described them. I want to see that.
Go check my feet. Just high fives. Just. It's so weird what paying a coach like 14, 15 million bucks and him telling everyone to high five each other can do.
Fair enough.
It's amazing.
I'm glad you took that away from me. I really didn't want that primetime game, so I'm glad you have it.
Okay, no problem. As for Tennessee, quickly, this is a rivalry game, and you asked me for me at least, and you asked me last week about the win-loss between the teams, and we mentioned some wins, some losses. It was brought to my attention, the Titans, the Oilers, they haven't won in LA and San Diego since the 90s. So obviously we beat them a lot. My college roommate likes the Titans and he would talk his shit. And then it was time to watch the game and he wouldn't watch the game with me. Where did he go? He went to his room. Well, I stayed in the common area being right on top of his bed. And this was in the day where the Chargers were a fucking wagon with LaDainian and co. And what happened? Every time the Chargers made plays, you just picture me doing my Earthquake the Wrestler impression, and I would make his room feel like there was a 6.0 on the Richter scale. His Dave Matthews Band posters or frames would fall off the wall and hit the floor and spill his drinks, and I'd never been more proud. I thought I could have gone through the floor, though. That was totally in play.
Did you?
Because I've never been that small of a guy. And then, to be even more annoying, that's when Blunt and Bucket started. Because I would just smoke that blunt inside the house. I'd order fried chicken, and I'd just sit there like I own the place. Every time we play the Titans.
Did you pick your college roommate, or did you just get paired up with this guy?
No, this wasn't like in the dorm. This was like out of first year in like a house. So no, these were my friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you in the dorm the first year?
No, because I was part of the double cohort. So I just had to, I had already known.
I have no idea what that means either.
Well, he would have been a part of that grade 13 year that got cut. So the double class went to college.
Oh, okay.
So I just had way too many friends already there. And I was just like, fuck it. I didn't need that. But you know what? I would argue that as a negative in hindsight, because it just kept you in your bubble. And it's always good to have gotten out and to meet totally different new people. So in hindsight, it was a mistake. But I don't regret not, sharing washrooms and shit.
Yeah.
At the other time either.
I regret not spending a year, first year, frosh year in dorms, just to like you said, to meet new people. But it's just the amount of people that I went and visited at other colleges, throughout the course of first and second year, who got paired up with the biggest goobers as roommates was awesome.
I just presume living in dorms or
frat
frat houses would basically be like how we lived for a week in Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You go visit your friend and he's living with Sharif and Deepal. I'm like, okay, maybe I did make the right decision.
we went and visited my buddy John one time, and he had just got set up with like a new roommate. And I think it was the week that we were there, he got so drunk he took a shit in the hamper. Fucking awesome. You don't really want to be paired up with that guy. Anyway, I'm taking the Chargers here minus 7.5. The Titans have only scored 20 or more points once this year, and that was against Miami. And I'm pretty sure Will Levis is going to be back this week, Tim.
Oh, is he?
I think so.
I don't think it matters. I like the Chargers here too. It's a must win for them. Must win.
I think it is. There is a difference. It's a lot like the Dalton and Bryce Young situation, although Bryce Young got his win last week, that I do think this offense is a bit more competent and less going to give you the ball for 6 the other way with Rudolph instead of Levis. Like, Levis might have a bit of upside, although he doesn't really flash it all that often, but he will give you the ball in the stupidest way possible, which is exactly playing into what the Chargers want to do.
Well, by all accounts, it seems like the Titans might have fired Mike Vrabel because the owner just wanted like nicer, good guy culture, in the building. And
Well,
that seems to have backfired.
Maybe it was a financial thing because we just saw that the owner of the Titans donated $3,300 this political season.
Oh, yeah. That was good. I like that tweet. I should have retweeted it, but I was kind of I haven't, there's other fun.
Stay out of it.
Yeah.
There's no need.
Exactly. I haven't gone into it. There's other people making the jokes. I don't need to make the jokes. I'm obviously on the Chargers. Tim did allude to it. I was enjoying, even in real time, the Titans playing the full fifth quarter last week, although Pizzola will tell you it only matters about defensive time on the field, and that overtime was essentially 90% Titans offense, but I don't care. And the Patriots, their problem was they didn't have any timeouts, and they weren't ready to go for two. Like, they celebrated hard and the clock was running and they couldn't call a timeout and actually set up a 2-point conversion. Cause I think they absolutely would have.
Who do you think we should have been
dumb
more
than Todd Bowles? Actually,
I was gonna say who should have gone for 2 more, Tampa Bay or the Patriots? It's very clearly Tampa Bay.
Yes, no, circumstantially, absolutely Tampa Bay. But if you rewatch the Patriot thing, and then when you consider the play that happened, the whole offense was so freaking gassed, and they didn't have a timeout. And then once, if they couldn't have got whatever. Maybe I'm making excuses. I'm dumb enough to think Tampa's was way more freaking egregious, like way more egregious, just based on everything that happened. Let's beat the shit out of the Titans. Let's body bag them like every other shitty quarterback we've played.
Tim, that's your guy, Todd Bowles, making some big decisions here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because again, the Chiefs did not look that impressive, and they had a chance to win.
So to go back to it, them calling the timeout at the 1 with 30 seconds left is also the dumbest shit.
Yeah, it was a very, very poorly. Tampa is not being well served by Todd Bowles in-game decision making. The only thing I came away from last night's game thinking was Detroit would destroy the Chiefs, and having the Chiefs ranked ahead of the Lions, I think, is just foolish at this point. It's just stubborn.
It's not stubborn.
The Lions would be 3-point favorites on a neutral field.
The Lions are awesome.
The Lions are good.
They would be at this point.
They do not have.
There's no one.
They do not have a certain key cog that makes the Chiefs the best, Jim. That's the problem.
Andy Reid's Nuggies?
No, it's not Andy Reid's Nuggies. It's the guy that maybe had the Nuggies himself, and Andy Reid tried to steal them.
I mean, look, Mahomes is amazing, but like Goff is on pace to win the MVP.
No, he's not on.
He is.
I mean,
He
being the fourth favorite in the MVP odds does not mean he's on pace to win the MVP.
I think he's going to win the MVP now.
I don't.
I now believe that.
No.
This team is going to go like 16-1 or 15-2, and if that's the case, like he's going to win the MVP.
Remember when you said this about the Niners last year? Then they had that 3.
I know, but this has all the feelings of the Falcons in 2016 written all over it.
Yeah, but the thing,
it may have the same tragic end too. But like this just feels like it feels like everything is perfectly aligned for Detroit.
I buy everything, but I'm not buying any part of this Goff is the MVP shit. I'm just not buying it. You can't miss me with it. It doesn't work on me.
Like the case,
Okay.
the case for the Lions being the best team, which is a very valid case, is they actually have the best roster 1 through 53, and Goff has been good, obviously, but in a one-on-one situation, like I don't know, like where would you rate Goff amongst quarterbacks? We know you have him behind Kyler Murray, who you just said was a top 5 quarterback.
I don't know. I'd have him in like the 7th or 8th, but like I wouldn't have ever had Matt Ryan top 2 or
But
top
where's
3,
Josh
but he won
Allen
the
in
MVP.
that ranking? 9th?
Josh Allen's playing great this year. I mean,
This
he's not
year.
turning he's not turning the ball over this year. And he has no receivers, and he's playing well. Like I've no criticism of Josh Allen. I'd like to criticize him. I can't criticize him. He's the reason the Bills are 6-2 instead of being 2-6. Because that team is not good outside of Josh Allen, but he is playing excellent.
But you'd blame him for pass failures.
He has been responsible for a lot of pass failures. Not this year. This year he's playing great, and I have to give him his due.
Okay, I'm shocked.
He's-
Good for
he-
you
he-
that you
listen,
can
He
admit
has a
that.
strong
He's-
case for MVP as well because he is the most valuable player to his
Him
team.
and Lamar, to me, there's a definitive gap with Allen and Lamar ahead of the pack right now. In my
Okay,
opinion.
but like Goff is, if he ends up with like 43 touchdowns and like 7 interceptions, and the Lions go 15-2, he's going to be the MVP.
Yeah, sure. That's
So just
that-
be ready for it.
I mean, we can create the scenario for lots of we can create the scenario, right? That would have to be the path.
I mean, he is projected for 30 touchdowns and 9 picks right now for the rest of the year.
Okay,
So
I think
40,
he's
40,
gonna easily-
40,
They can win
42 and
easily
7
exceed
is maybe, but like to have already being halfway through the year and throwing 12 more touchdowns than you're projected to
He's
do.
not quite. He's not quite.
Didn't they
halfway through.
play a game 2 weeks ago where they had like 30 yards of offense and they were up 28-0?
Yeah, against the Titans.
So like
Yeah, 'cause
that
they ran away with it.
team doesn't like need the quarterback.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. They are so good in other spots, especially on special teams, where they take away the sorts of numbers that Goff has to put up to win MVP, I think.
Okay, no, you make a strong case. Just saying, like if that team wins 15 or 16 games, the MVP is coming from Detroit. And that's all there is to
he'll
it.
get votes, he'll be part of it.
What if Kansas City goes 17-0?
Oh well, then of course, if they go perfect, then it's going to be from that team. I don't
I
think they're
actually
going to
looked at
because
their
they just keep limping around. They're going to get got, but they can get got by anybody at any time.
I completely agree, but it just hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't
And
happened
if
yet,
you
but
look at
sooner
their
or later,
schedule,
it's going to happen.
If you look, the thing is, I agree, Tim, that anytime, any place, but if you look at their schedule, there's like 2 games, like
I
two
know,
and
but
a
like
half
last night,
games.
they should have lost last night. Like, and that
They
team
should have
was
lost
nowhere-
Atlanta. Like there's 5 of them. You
No, but
could've
like they were
stayed
big
with-
dogs, big favorites against Tampa, and like they should have lost.
I actually think it's
So-
better for them if they lose soon.
I agree.
I agree too.
If you're
That
going
Buffalo
for a
game in a couple of weeks. That Buffalo game in a couple of weeks. The Bills tend to beat them in the regular season all the time.
But it
And
won't
it's
be
the
the,
playoffs where they struggle.
but it won't be that game that they lose. They'll lose just some like jerk off game to Denver this week though. That will be the game that they lose.
maybe
I'll
to,
lay
like,
down a marker on
Cleveland,
the game.
maybe at Cleveland in like December. I agree, and I've been a proponent of this. Name the team any year. If I don't think you want, if you actually just want your team to win the Super Bowl, I don't think you want them going undefeated. I don't think you want any part of that smoke at Christmas. You want
However,
that out of there.
Do you know what
The
this
one reason I would hope for it, because it would be another thing that Mahomes would have over Brady. And it would be another reason to hold Mahomes ahead of
You're
Brady.
on the wagon. Everyone knows you are on the wagon.
That would be fun. It would be fun to have yet another thing to put in Patrick Mahomes' column over Tom Brady. So, like, it would be
Chiefs
great if it
fan
happened.
Tim Anderson.
Not a fan.
Cheering them
I'm
on
not a
for
fan.
their three-peat. Yeah,
But
no,
if-
you
if-
said it.
But he can be a means to an end of making Patriots fans feel less good about their history. I'm on board with it.
Do you know how good Patriots fans feel right now watching that country strong ox throw the football, Tim?
Yeah, actually, I do. I hear about it pretty
They
pretty
should.
frequently.
Love him. Oh, baby. He gives me the feels. I like it.
This Chiefs team reminds me, I think, of the 3rd Super Bowl Patriots Brady team when they won like the 17 straight games between the 2 seasons, whatever it was, and they won every close game. Then they just won the Super Bowl.
Was that the team that beat the Rams like 12-3 in the Super Bowl or something?
No,
No.
The team
This
that
is
beat
like a-
Donovan McNabb's Eagles.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
different era of Patriots.
Yeah, no, the third Super Bowl for them, coming off the Carolina Super Bowl into that next
I would
season.
argue it feels more like the one I mentioned, where they actually like just win with defense.
Yeah, I mean, this offense also isn't as bad as people are making it out to be.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. And Hopkins has played well for 2 weeks. So
You're right. It's not bad, Pat. And by Christmas, it's going to be
Figure it out.
right where they like ready to win a ship, ready to win 3 straight or 2 straight when it matters against the.
like I said, I want a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl. I think that would be a ton of fun, and I would lean the Lions, but I think it would be a ton of fun.
Although
I
deserve
agree.
I had criticized Detroit for running these weird trick plays when they don't need to do it, but I mean, if Andy Reid now they have 3 Super Bowls, right? Or they have 2? They have 3.
Correct. 3.
They have 3. And like no one suffers more from fancy play syndrome than Andy fucking Reid, man. It is unbelievable to watch. Like, oh, yeah, let's do this end around with me, Cole Hardman. Let's get Xavier Worthy into the game in the stupidest way possible. Let's just do that. Or we can just throw to Travis Kelce for a touchdown. Or DeAndre Hopkins. Now, let's not do that. Let's try these like gimmick plays because these guys are fast. It blows my mind. He's been doing it for 20 years.
People are going to think we just did a half hour on the Chargers.
Well,
If they just see the time codes, and we didn't. I want people to know that. Bolt up.
You're trying to
Oh,
inform,
common baby.
you're trying to inform people who will have listened to this segment and therefore will know that we didn't spend a half hour talking
But
about
there's
this.
also lots of people that just see, oh my God, the Chargers.
But they won't
game,
have
30
heard what you
minutes,
just
click.
they will not have heard what you just said because they will not have listened to the segment yet.
That's also very probable.
all right,
Likely.
let's go to Munich for the German game. We got Carolina at the Giants. I guess it's a neutral site game, but the Giants are 5-point favorites right now, and I can see this getting up to 6. I can see this getting up to 7, to be perfectly honest with you. I love the Giants here. I'm thinking about making them the super lock. We get a gift betting against the Panthers. I know the Giants suck, Tim, but the Panthers winning last week did us a ton of favors for being able to bet against them now for like 3 more weeks before the number matures again.
I know, but I don't know if they had lost last week, how much higher you'd get the spread because it's the Giants. Like you're asking the Giants to win by a margin. That is such a tough ask. I think I said it last week or 2 weeks ago that since this game is not in the United States, Cam should have a 1 week exception to be able to pick the Panthers if he wants because it's in a different country.
You can always bet whoever you want, just like the commercials
I
can
think
say.
I have to pick Carolina against the spread here, and I hate it. I would I don't think the Giants can be favored by that many points. I think it's too many. I could be wrong. This game can end up being 17-3 for the Giants, but I don't know. I can't lay 5 points with the Giants in a neutral site. So I will take Carolina, and I don't like it.
Giants can run. Giants can play defense. They can harass the passer. I mean, I shouldn't have overlooked how many defensive injuries that the Saints had last week. And then they lose Olave right away, and they have no offense. I mean, this game could just be pitch and catch with Neighbors and running the ball with Tracy, and they win 20-10, and they just easily cover, Geoff.
They could. I think it's going to be a peskier,
Oh, my
closer, weird game in Germany, which would lead me to think Carolina's going to cover.
You guys are
But I
back in
don't
on
want-
Carolina after they got
But I don't
shellacked.
wanna
They beat
say
New
it.
Orleans and got shellacked by New Orleans the entire game.
I don't want to say it publicly, or I wouldn't let people know I was doing it. It reminds me of those commercials where it's making you think that women aren't telling their husbands who they're voting for, but they're going into the booth and voting against what they're telling their husbands they're doing at the dinner table. You can tell Cam in the privacy of your home, you can bet Carolina and you don't have to tell anybody. No one has to know. That's our right. Carolina +5 in Munich. Pardon my ignorance. Do we even know is it for sure Bryce or might Dalton play?
It's not for sure Bryce, but it's gonna be Bryce.
Okay, well then there's a chance even with Dalton I'd like it more. So yeah, well we're gonna take these 5 points. It feels gross. feels gross because I really liked the Giants versus the Steelers a couple weeks ago, and to think that I could then have that opinion versus the Steelers to then taking that same team and wanting to fade them against Carolina is quite moronic. But that's what I am.
If you like the Panthers in this game, just wait, because this spread is going to grow. I guarantee it.
Probably. Although I don't think you can get to 7, but it'll grow.
Maybe it maxes out at 6.5. Maybe you're right, but I can see it getting over. I can see a lot of Giants money coming in this week. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Next game, we're actually going to the afternoon slate here, Tim. Jets at Cardinals.
What?
Oh, yeah, Cardinals favored by a point against the Jets, who, Geoff, did you know all of a sudden this Cardinals team is amazing and Kyler's basically the MVP? Did you hear that?
It's a really good team.
Did
It's
you
a
hear
really
that?
good team and
Okay.
a really good quarterback.
So before Tim, you'd have thought he smoked some of my indica, but he actually just ate a bowl of soup from the box, and it knocked him the fuck out. But before that, he spent a good amount of the show letting everyone know that Arizona is now considered world beaters to him.
They have one of the best resumes in the NFL. I'll say that. If you put their wins and losses up against most teams, theirs are pretty impressive.
I like them. They're a fun team.
They got no chance in this game. We're teasing the Jets up. This is going to the Jets coming off extra rest indoors. Again, they won't know what hit them in this game.
You're so back. I fucking love you.
I look at the schedule, and like we talked about it Sunday night, and I said 9-8. But then as I was driving home, I was like, they're not going to lose any of those games. Well, it's like this team has got 11-6 written all over it, 10-7 at worst, because they still have an incredible amount of talent. Stop playing with the ball around the goal line. Adams, as he went in for his touchdown on Thursday night, also waved the ball in the air as he crossed the goal line, and I screamed. Stop doing that. The Jets get some rest in addition to playing a very soft schedule in November. They play 2 games in the month of November. 2 games. They play this one, the Colts, and then they have a bye, and then they don't play again until December 1st. So the month of November is a month of rest, recuperation, and winning. They're 3-6. I expect them to be 5-6 come December 1st, and I expect them to absolutely take apart Arizona in this game. They should be able to take Harrison Jr. out of the play with their defensive backs. I am worried about Connors running. I do think Connors will probably have a lot of yards in the game, but I mean Mixon had a lot of yards, and the Texans didn't win, so that doesn't bother me. I think Rodgers is going to throw the ball all around the lot. I think Wilson, who's had the nicest catch of the last 5 years, is going to play great. I think Adams, another week in the system, seems more and more comfortable with what they're doing. The running game is coming around. There are green shoots all over the place. I am excited. This team should win this game. I expect them to win this game, and they're going to win this game.
What?
Bring on this game. Now, the week after, it's the Colts. I'm very nervous about the way the Indianapolis' defense plays. I respect Joe Flacco a lot. I think that team has got a lot of talent in Indianapolis. That worries me a little bit when we play them. But for this week and next week, I think we're getting W's on the board. I can't wait.
Who are you? Like,
somebody is excited to win.
Yeah, but you're such a... I mean, I back you. It was getting depressing and sad listening to you talk. I'm smiling, and I'm so happy to hear excitement in your voice as a friend.
They ripped apart a 6-2 team who's going to be, a playoff team. Took them apart completely on prime time for everyone to see.
Like, if they just beat the Broncos, you're playing
the Patriots
Monopoly all month, right?
They'd beaten the Broncos and Patriots. This team would be right in the hunt for the division.
But I'm trying to have a comment on how you, like, I thought I was the fragile one amongst us.
You are.
No.
Yeah, you are.
No.
You are.
No, I thought I was the delicate flower.
You are.
Amongst us. I don't think so, dude.
Oh, I think so. I think so completely.
You're just so back in again after not watching for the month. All they had to do was win one game and you're in.
Not just win. They won by 8, but they should have won that game by 25. They were so much better than the Texans. That team, like if we could just wipe the records clean and start from now, this team is as good as anybody. That's the defensive front that they've got is extremely intimidating. And Kyler better be running a lot because he's going to get destroyed if he's not moving a lot.
If you lose this game, are you not watching again?
No, they've earned my trust back to watching. But it would
Why
be
beating an injury-plagued team on short rest at home, like
playing great on Halloween. We never win that game. We don't win that game, but we won it. Very exciting.
You're so much more fragile than I am.
No, it's not even close. Not even in the same stratosphere.
Yeah, I'm probably more loyal and less fragile than you.
You couldn't put up with some of the bad things that might. What would have happened to you if Quentin Johnson had fumbled the ball walking across the goal line? I handled that very well. I don't think you would have handled that very well.
He dropped a fucking piss missile to win the game the day my son was born. And then the coach told me my opinion doesn't matter.
And how did you handled that a lot worse than I handled?
Maybe. I don't want to do this.
You're the one who brought it up.
Hold on. Stop. Let's also not forget that on Geoff's team, when they lost to Arizona 2 weeks ago, Jalen Reagor dropped the ball before the end zone.
I don't even want to do this comparison of who's had more heartbreak or who's worse. It's clearly the Jets, and
no.
Content.
Did you listen? Did you watch the Sunday night show?
And I want to tell you, Pat, respectfully as a friend, that was the worst content. The who's had it worse Dolphins Jets 5 minutes was the most not even painful. It was just so hard to listen to. Hearing them bicker about it. So I don't even want to play that game and be that guy.
I've never heard Garion so mad in his life. But
the very idea that Paul would complain was enough to send Garion completely over the bend.
Staring at the wall for 15 minutes after.
And then how upset Paul was that someone would think that the Bills have had it so good. Who are you to complain, Paul, with all the good fortune you've had over the last 20 years?
I was really put off because I was just no, nobody ever says that about the Bills. Nobody's ever. But he made a good point. It's he was denying he's never seen Miami win a playoff game, and I was just man, that's sad. I thought about it the next day. And I was just
Dolphins.
You know what? It is really bad. Bills get a lot of credit for wide left or wide right, whatever it is. It's obviously been washed out of my brain, but. Yeah, it's tough out there.
Yeah, 2000 was the last Dolphins win in the playoffs.
It was. It was a game where Lamar Smith had so many rushing attempts that he couldn't play the next week.
the Jay Fiedler. Jay Fiedler was the quarterback. And
every
time they went back to the playoffs, it seemed like they had the worst circumstance. Matt Moore had to start the game.
Or the Chad Pennington game against the Ravens where he was just he was doing the call it was end of the road Chad Pennington, but he was throwing those little loopers like he used to do with the Jets, and they were effective against bad defenses. Then they played the Ravens in the first round. I think Ed Reed picked him off 5 times in the game.
Yeah. Or they had to play Skylar Thompson in a playoff game.
Exactly. Matt Moore, Skylar Thompson last week getting the draw for the coldest playoff night ever in Kansas City. The circumstances where
Buffalo cancels their playoff game because there's a little bit of snow, but the Dolphins have to play in subarctic.
Well, according to you, the Bills are soft.
The Bills are soft.
I will tell you, I think that you calling the Bills soft, it's ratcheted up
that defense was so bad on Sunday.
No, but I think that's why Paul has way more spice for you this year.
That's fine.
This soft stuff.
I can take it. Believe it or not, I can actually take criticism.
You can't actually take it. And all I wanted to say from your little sad sack little conversation that you had a little bit ago, it's if they lose this week, nobody wants to hear you being I don't have time for this team. Oh, they hurt my feelings. Oh,
well, why don't you just write a script for me then, Paul?
Once this season. It's over. Nobody wants to hear it.
All right, fine.
If Kyler Murray beats you this week, shut your mouth.
Okay, fine. Then I'll come on the show, and when Pat asks me a question about it, I will say nothing. And I'll say, Paul, why don't you speak for me? Because I'm not allowed to express my opinion. Paul can fill in for my voice on the live show. I will just sit there and
nobody wants to hear you try. Just be honest.
Fine. Then I will sit there and eat. I will sit there and I'll eat my MRE, and you can speak for me while I
I'll have
eat. That'd
another
be fine.
chocolate. I'll have another chocolate
Paul
bar
has a
for
fair
you to cheer
point
you up.
here. You can't, like, you stopped watching for a month before November.
I stopped watching for a game and a half.
But like, for you to then replay this act around Thanksgiving is okay, here we
It's not
go
an
again.
act. We could win. We have a really super soft schedule.
I'm cheering for you. I'm legit cheering for you. I want you to come join this. I want you to be cheering against me because you need losses.
If you
on
look
my
at the way
behalf.
things are, I mean, there's an excellent chance that the Jets are one game back of the playoffs after this week.
I agree.
We told
One
you
game.
after the Bills game that like it wasn't all for naught, but you wouldn't have it. You were just like, no, it's over. We're never coming back. The season's over, and then you won on.
I don't know
last
why you
week.
folks seem to
and all of a
need to
sudden,
quote
like,
back to
it's
me the
weird.
things I've said when I know what I've said.
Well, like Jeff and I laid out this entire schedule to you last week before the Texans game and told you if they beat the Texans, they could go on a run. You didn't want to hear it. They win the game, and now it's your idea. Never going to lose again.
It is my idea, and don't try to steal my credit either.
Well, many people are saying you get no credit for the Jets at all. They're kind
don't
of
really want
they're
any,
they're
to be
kind of
fair. I really
hoping
don't want
they're
credit.
kind of hoping that the Jets win the Super Bowl so they can laugh at you for giving up on the team because you deserve
I-
to not bask in it at all.
Like, you
I
essentially
will take no credit. If they win
Hold
the
on.
Super Bowl, that's fine. I don't need the credit. I'll have won the Super Bowl.
But did you not even, like, when you stopped watching, allude to the fact that you were even going to give back your hypothetical Super Bowl from last
No,
year because you
people kept-
realized that wasn't even deserved?
Well, 2 points on that. First, it was deserved. They were the Super Bowl champs last year if Rodgers hadn't gotten hurt. Secondly, people kept saying that I should give it back, and I said, no, I'm not giving it back. Why should I give it back? What does last year being the best team and having everything
Does
stolen
it
from me
prove
have anything
this
to do
year
with this year?
you saw what healthy air, how many
I
wins?
saw it. Yeah, I do. 11. Next question.
I love you. I hope you guys win so many games in a row. I really
So do I. So do I. The league doesn't. You better be you're lucky we started 2-6. That's all I'll say to the NFL. You're lucky we started 2-6.
Who's more scary, the Jets or the Bengals, Pat? Like, from if you're an AFC playoff team, like a good AFC playoff team, which team are you like? Please don't get hot and get in this thing. It's the Bengals,
The answer
right?
is most definitely Cincinnati, but for the purposes of this show, I really hope it's the Jets.
Yeah, of course, of course.
It's just the Bengals. If either of these teams makes the playoffs, it means they had a very, very good second half. If the Bengals have a really good second half, that means they've cleaned up the defense and Burrow's playing like an MVP. And I'd like Burrow as the best quarterback in the league scares me a little bit more than a Jets team playing more maybe complete ball, but knowing Aaron Rodgers isn't going to hit that level right now.
I agree. If the Bengals become a wagon, then they could be as good as any team in the conference if they're hot.
Yeah, no, whatever. The Jets are really good right now. They played a great game. They're coming off short rest. I like them to beat Arizona in this game. We're teasing them up.
I like the Jets too, +1 for the record, Jeff.
Jumbo Jets.
I am actually really sad that this game is at the same time as my game because I am very interested and I will be backing Tim and the Jets. Arizona's knocked off Chargers, Dolphins, Bears. It's time for them to
49ers.
No, but 3 in a row. There was a loss before.
Yeah.
It's time for them to lose to a team who's from the middle ground, and it's going to be the Jets.
Yeah, they just need to lose a coin flip. Like, they played these coin flip games. Although there was a convincing win against Chicago last week. But
And I'm owed another win. I personally felt I was owed that game on Halloween night. I feel like I'm also personally owed this game.
What do you mean? For what?
For all the years and the weeks of excitement and anticipation for this team. I feel like I'm owed a win.
This is the game you feel you're owed November.
This is one of them.
6th
I feel
versus-
I feel several games I'm owed. And I want it. I feel like I deserve it.
Okay. If you see yourself in a lot of the guests on the Pat Mayo Experience, it probably means you're not getting enough nutrients in your diet. There's a solution to this problem, and that solution is AG1. I hammer down a bottle of AG1 every morning when I wake up, and I do not lack energy. You can hear that in my voice. I'm always having energy. So if you need to get some in your life, or there's someone in your life that you need to get some for, right now, AG1 is running a special Black Friday offer for all of November. AG1 is a daily health drink packed with nutrients to help you alleviate bloating, support sustained energy, and the whole body health. Here's the key to AG1, because some people don't necessarily love the taste of ground up greens. The move is to cut it with orange juice. That's what I do. There's many different ways that you can make your own special recipe for it. You can put it in a smoothie. You can make it with cold water. But I just put a little bit of orange juice, then put in water for the other half. Boom, I put in my scoop of AG1, shake it up, energy all day long. And you can have that too with AG1. So this holiday season, try AG1 for yourself or even gift it to someone special. It's the perfect time to focus on supporting your body with an easy and surprisingly delicious daily health drink. And that's why I'm so excited to be partnering with them. Every week of November, AG1 will be running a special Black Friday offer for a free gift with your subscription, in addition to a welcome kit with vitamin D3 and K2. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/mayo to see what gift you can get this week. That's drinkag1.com/mayo to start your holiday season off on a healthier note. Well, supplies last. New England at the Bears is the next game up. The Bears are favored by 6 points at home against the Patriots. I can't take every favorite on the board here, Tim, but I kind of like the Bears. Like the Patriots.
You could last week.
What's that?
I think it's all favorites but two won and covered last week.
One and covered? Or just one?
I think so. Maybe just one. Okay. Anyway, I like the Bears too, and I'm teasing the Bears down. Teaser's getting filled up pretty quickly here.
Bears down to a pick. And where are you leaning here, Geoff? It's just I don't think especially after getting rid of Uche, that we saw. I mean, and we forgot to mention that Arizona added, who the fuck did they add? Baron Browning to the defensive line in order to help with their pass rush. But they were getting they didn't have a very good pass rush to begin with, but they were breaking through the Bears offensive line with no problem last week. I just don't think the Patriots can do that. If they don't do that, then Caleb Williams is going to be good.
This is in contention for my super lock, and I think we are 9 picks in through 3 games, and we've agreed on every pick. So I'm actually kind of scared about that, but I love the Bears. They got embarrassed last week. And I don't think they're a bad team. And they're a team I want to trust after getting embarrassed. I know that's a dumb thing to say because you would just, the smart person would be like, you moron. The Hail Mary wasn't a big enough embarrassment. Like, look how they followed it up. But I wasn't passionate about them last week. I am this week. I really like the Bears. Beat the shit out of the Patriots. They'll win this game by 10 plus.
Okay. Buffalo and Indy. The Bills are 4-point favorites in Indianapolis. Do you think that the Colts' offensive problems, Geoff, from Sunday night stemmed from Flacco maybe not being as good as it's a lot like the Jameis thing where you build him up in your mind like, oh yeah, he had a really good game. And then you see him play, you're like, oh yeah, he's not really all that good. Or did we forget that the Vikings have a very good defense?
I mean, the Vikings have the ability to really dominate a quarterback like a Joe Flacco. But I'll be honest, I feel really bad for Colts fans. I don't get it. For me, when it comes to my teams, I'd rather be last than whatever they're trying to do. To not even have a Wildcat package for Richardson in that game, is just embarrassing. There's that sequence. Taylor leaves the game. It's 3rd and 2. They're on the Viking 40 with 5 minutes left, and Flacco throws 2 low percentage chances. All it takes is one Richardson run. I don't know. I don't like anything they're going, and they're so committed to Flacco. Steichen was asked, is there a circumstance or is there a level of play that Flacco has to maintain to keep the job? And he's just no, he's pretty much our starter for the rest of the year. So Richardson must have failed a 2 + 2 = 4 test, because I don't understand how they can send him to the bench after 10 starts. I said it last week, but watching Flacco score no points just is gasoline on how I felt last week, because Richardson can do that and he can get those reps while doing that. So I don't get any part of it.
Do you trust
I don't
Buffalo
even
to
care that
do you
he-
trust Buffalo to cover the 4 on the road though?
Do I trust Buffalo to cover the 4 on the road? Yeah, sure. I do. I don't feel good about this game. If it ends up being like a weird dome game that's super close, that doesn't surprise me. I know the Richardson tapping out of a play is a bad look because he was tired, but Flacco looked tired for 4 fucking quarters.
Well, you know what? He's the same age as me. I get tired, Jeff. It happens.
He looked like the Joe Flacco who played for the Jets like 3 years ago, who was unplayable. I was like, oh, I know that Joe Flacco. I remember that one very well. He looked like Joe Flacco in the playoffs last year, where he just was brutal.
I mean,
Against a little bit of pressure from the
Here,
Texans. Love Buffalo here.
Oh, really?
like when you consider how bad he played last week and the Colts still should have covered, I mean, I should be giving
Because
the
Sam
Colts
Darnold
more
was-
credit. I should be
Darnold
giving-
was somehow worse in a winning cause. That's why.
The throw he made to Addison was nice.
He made a beautiful. Well, Addison also made a fantastic.
True,
catch.
but it was both. It was a fantastic throw and it was
Sure.
a fantastic catch.
Sure, but like Darnold was horrific.
Yeah, he
in
was
that
not
game.
good.
Horrific.
He was he was good.
Buffalo indoors
Buffalo
against a mediocre team. This game is made perfectly for. This is the game that Buffalo is manufactured to win. Buffalo will roll the Colts in this game.
Is Buffalo still this track team that you present them as?
No,
I just think it's better for their defense to play inside in a controlled environment. I like them in this spot.
Two years ago.
Hold on. 2 years ago, they were a completely different team. They want to be a run first team now. They want to be an underneath the Shakir team, using these like 8-yard out routes to Amari when he gets healthy, control the ball. But I got to play for you right now. So you go to Underdog, you use code Mayo if you don't have it yet. You use that Lamar free pick when you use code Mayo at sign up, and then just put with it Jonathan Taylor higher than 67.5 rushing yards in this game and win 3 times your money. Easiest thing you'll ever do, Tim.
Yeah, I do like that. Well, it's not the easiest thing ever, but I do like it.
And that's why I think the Colts cover this game. I feel this one's a Fienberg. It's like Bills by 3. I don't think it'll be kind of back and forth a little bit. The Colts will be able to control the ball on the ground. They'll limit the amount of times that Flacco can throw. And the Bills I don't feel like they have any big strike capability anymore. The Ray Davis touchdown from last week, like it was a long touchdown, but that was just a screen pass, and the defense just didn't see it coming. Like I think the Colts defense is just significantly better than Miami's. Like there's no Jefferson on this team to upchuck it to down the field when you're in a pinch, like the Vikings were able to do.
Also, if the Bills, I mean, they should because Miller's back and they've got the good pass rushers. But if you don't get to the quarterback quickly, like in defense of Flacco, he didn't have time for the receivers, for like Downs and those guys to run the routes, for him to do the upchucking.
Sort of. I mean, Downs wasn't even on the field most of the time, which I thought was really strange. Like as a part of a personnel package, I get he's not a great run blocker, but still, like he's your best guy right now. Michael Pittman just looks like he's 30% of Michael Pittman.
Yeah, all that down. I saw that too. Downs not on the field for all those snaps, only to like try to deke them out on the 2 times they're going to pass out of that formation. Because it's an obvious run. Like it's like 90% run if he's not out there. It's obvious.
Yeah.
I knew that because I had the over 5.5 receptions and he got it.
He got there
But
late.
He also didn't get his like longest catch of 20. So that annoyed me because I played that over too.
I mean, that's not usually a good one for Downs. That's more of a Downs with Richardson type number. With Flacco, he's not really going to air it out to Downs. He's going to.
But
hit
I
him on
thought
those
Downs
slants.
gets it. The slant that he just gets it.
Hit John the slant.
Don't have me. At least he's not. At least. At least Flacco's not Derek Carr throwing him hospital balls every single time, so he should be okay. I think. Where does Buffalo rank in adjusted sack rate this season? Yeah, they're way down the list. They're like right around. I guess Pittsburgh's pretty low as well. Like if TJ Watt isn't generating the pressure in the sack for Pittsburgh, I guess maybe now it could be a little bit different now that they have more depth and rotational ability. But Pittsburgh's defense is just so weird to me with the way that they're constructed and the way that it just seems like they harass the quarterback all the time, but they don't actually sack the quarterback all that much. Isn't that strange? Like a perception thing in our mind versus what like the stats will actually tell you.
Be nice though if the Bills could like soften the Colts up here for me. You could use that.
Yeah, I don't know what curse you're trying to do here. Are you trying to curse the Bills into losing because you think that the Jets can catch them, or do you just really want Buffalo to beat Indy so Indy takes the L?
I mean, I really want Buffalo to win this game.
Okay.
No. Your best chance of beating the Colts next week is like a Colts last second win.
I don't agree. I certainly don't agree. I do not agree. I do not agree. Okay, well, we don't agree. You can keep saying it, but I don't agree.
No, emotional last second comeback win.
I think nothing would be better than this team getting crushed and then having to spend a whole week in drama saying, do we really keep going back to Joe Flacco, who's 44 years old and useless, or do we turn back to Richardson and let that whole melodrama play out all next week while Gangrene sharpens its teeth for another win to go 5-6 before a well-deserved bye?
They're not going to sit Joe Flacco in a revenge game, Tim.
Well, fair enough, and I hope they don't. I would rather play Flacco. Richardson could do damage.
I always want the team the Chargers are playing next week to win, be it in overtime or late, dramatic, emotional, last second. I feel like that's the best way to catch a team for the next
which
week.
is exactly what you're getting. You said you wouldn't consider the Chargers your super lock, even though you're getting exactly the thing you hope for most.
It's just a lot of points.
Yeah.
Listen. Fair enough, Tim. I've used the Chargers 2 in a row.
And you were 2 in a row, right?
I know, but I felt really good about them. I'm not like gonna.
Do I have to introduce to you the concept of a heater? Because you're kind of on one.
No, shut up.
Maybe
I am. I'm the super locks. I suck.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're kind of on a super lock heater. So
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know I had a max bet, but apparently on my streeter, there's only so much I can bet on a game, and I exceeded that because I got a message, and it was on the fucking Chargers last week.
Is it never not
Because I
on
knew
the
we were
Chargers?
taking the ball.
It's either on the Chargers or the national anthem. Those are your two big bets every year, aren't they?
Those are big. Although the anthem is like kind of dead now.
Yeah, that's
I
no
don't
fun.
think I had anything last year. I missed it, and then
it used to be a big bet on Team USA in the President's Cup.
Yes,
every 2 years.
it did. And attending it cost me an at-home appliance.
Yeah, well, and you had to buy that hat. That was like $300.
It was $52.
And you wouldn't buy that shirt, which looks so nice. Is it on sale yet? Oh! You're about to prove me wrong.
I returned it. I returned that shitty shirt. I still have this one here. I got a great shirt. It's got
So that is nice, but that's not the shirt you like.
It's President's Cup poutine. That was the back. This is the front.
I mean, that's a nice shirt, but you and I both love that golf shirt they wore, and you said you were going to buy it like a month after the tournament.
Oh, the shirt that the players, the
the black one with the little
but
maple
they went
leaves.
0-5 in it, and I thought you're right. I should check if it's on sale because that was a beautiful shirt, but I wasn't paying like 160.
Oh no, I don't blame you. I wouldn't either.
You're right. Thanks for reminding me. I should go check if some of those like on-course shirts are like half price now. Thank you.
By the way, the golf jerseys that people were wearing, shoot those things into the fucking sun.
Oh,
I'm not into that.
That doesn't look like the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
They did. I thought they were Las Vegas Golden Knight jerseys
with Team International logos. A logo that nobody has ever recognized ever is the Team International logo from the President's Cup.
Do you want to know something? What I regret most, because I bought 2 hats and the shirt, and I actually regret buying that international team hat because it's just like.
It's
out of golf context, it's like the weirdest hat ever.
Yeah, but you can wear it. You can wear it at the course.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Yeah, that's fine.
You can wear it on, and you can wear it on this show. People are on the know. You can wear it on these shows.
I mean,
I don't know. I still got the tag. I might give it away next golf season.
Minnesota at Jacksonville is the next game.
I like this game.
The Jags are the Jags are 4-point underdogs at home. I feel like I should love the Vikings here, but I don't. I think the Jags actually win this game.
Me too. Wow, we are seeing things the same way.
All of us.
Love it.
This is bad news. Vikings by $1 billion in this game.
Yeah,
I really like the Jags in this game to cover, and I really think there's a really good chance that they win. I do think at some point we'll have to have some time set aside for me to receive a lot of credit because I was the only person out here claiming that Trevor Lawrence was not going to be the world's greatest quarterback that all of the insider experts said he was going to be, and was mocked pretty vociferously for
Well,
that.
you sent him to the CFL, buddy.
Well,
He got
I think
he got a
I
million.
think I'm closer to being right than wrong
You
every game.
you also said that Zach Wilson was significantly better than he was.
Well, look, I was wrong about that, but I was
Let's
right
keep
about
score.
him.
Let's keep score.
But I was certainly right about him maybe not being the greatest prospect people had ever seen.
Fair. You get that.
But all that to say, I actually think he's the better quarterback in this football game. And you're going to give me 4 points with the better quarterback, I will take it. The Jags have been frisky the last couple of weeks and in games. And I will take them in this game. I think they have a good chance. I don't like the Vikings outdoors to begin with, and I don't like the Vikings who have been playing recently. They feel like they're sort of keeping this thing together by a thread, and you almost feel like the bottom could fall out of this team if they're not careful.
I agree with you about the bottom falling out. I said the Jags could win this game. Listen, any game this week could be won by any team, But
almost.
The Vikings do retain still the number one defense per DVOA. They can make Lawrence look really bad here. But ever since that first half against the Jets, Minnesota and Sam Darnold in particular have just not looked good. I'm with Tim on this one. And it's a lot like, I can see this game being sort of the more enhanced version of what we saw between Jacksonville and Philly last week, where Philly just kind of kept them in the game and gave it to them. I can see Minnesota doing the same thing, Geoff.
So for me, and I hate like having crossover games, but this, because it's the same division and they're so tightly packed, I feel like we saw this game a couple weeks ago when Green Bay went to Jacksonville, and it was essentially the same spread. And everyone in the group chat who you don't want to be on the same side of was like all over Green Bay.
I was.
And Jacksonville barely covered. If you bet the game Sunday morning, I don't know if they covered. But if you bet it any time earlier than Sunday morning, they covered. And they probably should have won that game. So it feels like an identical game. And I played Jacksonville that week. I'm going to play it again. I'm going to take these 4 points at home versus the NFC North and plug my nose.
Nothing Jacksonville enjoys more than being completely out of a game, Tim, and then just scoring 14 points for no reason and then covering.
Or 16 points.
Yeah, it's 16 points in 90 seconds or something like that. I'm glad you put out the group chat thing, because I was one of the people that bet on Green Bay, and they were up by 10 twice during that game, and then their quarterback got hurt. Let's not forget that part about the Packers-Jags game. But the last political thing that I'll throw out to you, and I have not bet either side. I just didn't bet on it this year. But every bad, random, better that I know in my friend group has bet on Trump. Every single one of them.
Oh, but
out of nowhere, guys,
right.
guys that will bet this, the same guy that lined up to bet Houston against the Jets and then told us, what was it? He bet on the
Minnesota Rams?
No, he bet on the Colts on Sunday night because there's no way that the Vikings could cover this game. Just every bet that he makes is like the square side and just loses. And he's all over Trump. Like Trump can't lose. And he's just put a ton of money on it.
I'm obviously this is probably going to sound dumb and not how it works, but as for the betting lines, I'm just convinced that it's the people who bet are probably 2-to-1 podcast bros, sports betting guys, Trump leaning people anyway. Like the amount of people who vote for Trump who bet versus the amount of people who vote for Kamala who bet, I think it's way more lopsided to Trump. That is why the books are just getting Trump money on bets. But also I'm looking at it on Canadian sports books because we could actually bet elections. Well, the Americans have to use these
They
fringe
have they basically, if you're gonna bet on if it's through Polymarket or whatever it is in the States to bet on the election, in most spots you have to use crypto only books, and we just know that it just sways big Trump in terms of the crypto market because he's gonna be so much better for crypto.
That's how I would see it. Although it is weird to see everyone poll it at 50-50 and you could bet Kamala at plus 150, but that's
yeah, it was just an observation of the squarest bettors I know who bet one, they'll make big bets, but they'll bet one NFL game every week, and it's just the side, it's just oh yeah, the world is on this side. They're that better. They just all showed up with their hey, guess what I did this morning? I bet on Trump at minus 170 or something.
I guess Jags at home plus 4. Yeah.
All right.
Short week for Vikings. I feel bad
Ish.
about it.
Short week-ish for the Vikings. Come on. They play on Sunday
Oh,
night.
Honestly, I apologize in my head there because it was prime time. I thought it was Monday. You're right. I retract that entirely. I don't care for that. I'm
Denver,
making a bad bet.
Kansas City. Kansas City's favored by 8 points in this game. Coming off the OT win on a short week, I am taking Denver to cover the 8 points, Tim.
I'm not. I think I'm going to take the Chiefs coming off a bad performance for them to sort of sleepwalk all the way through at home and win by 6. I am going to take. I think we saw the real Denver team last week personally, just getting shellacked by the Ravens. So I have no confidence in that Broncos team at all, and I expect the Chiefs to take care of business.
I can see most definitely where.
And I'm teasing the Chiefs down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it makes the most sense on this. I could still see this being the game where Kansas City gets got, though, Geoff.
I don't really have any analysis other than I agree with you. I'm going to take Denver. Maybe this is the week the Chiefs finally cover a number against a division team or anybody.
Weird.
It seems like, but
Weird. It's an early game.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
It
yeah,
is.
It is.
Oh, it's in
It's
Kansas City.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, but
play
still,
1
it's
o'clock.
weird that it's an early game. Doesn't seem like it seemed
Well,
like the
the
perfect
Chiefs.
game to.
I mean,
seemed like the
play-
perfect game to dump at 4:05 p.m.
The Chiefs play on every day of the week this year, but I believe Tuesday. And to actually see them play on a Sunday at 1 o'clock seems so freaking rare these days. You're not wrong. Like that used to be when they played. Now it is probably their least played in window.
Yeah.
They're that team, you know?
How big of an advantage do you think it is for Kansas City? Because this is something that we just observed for years when teams would play the Patriots, that they get so amped up to beat these teams, especially when it's in a close game, that they just make the absolute wrong decision in game.
You can almost only compare it to like college, where like playing you is their Super Bowl, it's their national championship, and you get it all the time, yet they still win.
No, I'm not even saying that. It's just like even to Bulls not going for 2 in that situation. And
Oh.
maybe he should, maybe he shouldn't have. It just seems like the opposing teams, when the game is like you have a chance to actually win these games against the Chiefs, it seems like teams just do whatever the right answer is, they actively pick the wrong answer. And it felt that way for years. I mean, Tim, you watch those Patriots games over and over. Like, how many times did the Jets get close to beating the Patriots in some of those games, and they would just do something foolish?
Yeah, not so often the Jets, but definitely a lot of opponents would just get tight and make a mistake early, and that's why or late, and that's why the Patriots routinely were able to win those games.
We always did versus them, always.
Yeah, there you go. Like it wasn't so much the divisional teams, but it was the outside of the divisional teams that did that.
Do you think Antonio Brown would get a cabinet role in a Trump administration?
No,
Like,
because there was no way that he could be
communications
confirmed.
director.
He could not. Well, sure.
Hold
He
on,
could not get
director
confirmed by
of-
the Senate.
Director of jokes, of insults, secretary of
Director of crackers.
emasculating. I don't know. I mean, like, holy shit, that account.
He's made some good hires. Whoever he's hiring to run this stuff is just top notch.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's still put some authentic, his own written out there, but yeah, the young kids, joke writers on his staff are cream of the crop. And it won't be something you could advertise in like Hollywood that you wrote jokes for his account. So you should get, but it's, as funny as it gets, whoever's writing that shit.
That would
And
be.
we can admit it on this network.
Do other networks not acknowledge that happens?
I think there would just not be allowed to acknowledge that account exists, let alone laugh at a joke from it.
Well, you know what? When people have backlash against this week, Geoff, you're going to have to open the show next week with an apology.
Hey, that being said, I still wouldn't. It's not at the level. Like, how do you put this? I wouldn't retweet his stuff though, but I feel like a lot of normal people just look at it and laugh so fucking hard. But who wants to retweet it? That's a different step, I think.
Well, it's time to get to a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner. It's Cust Corner. Cust Corner.
So this week, Pat and I went to a birthday party, surprise get together of a friend of ours for their 40th birthday. And it got me to thinking, what is the proper etiquette in terms of gifts that I need to purchase and spend money on for these sorts of events? Like, what is my obligation? Can I go to these sorts of gatherings without having to like buy a card and a gift? Or am I expected to buy and bring something? And if I am, what am I expected to bring? It's not clear to me. You know, we're going to have several of these over the next couple of years as people begin to hit milestone birthdays. And it's like, what is the social expectation on me when I attend these things?
So
I just did this for a year.
I was gonna say, I think that there is none. There is no social obligation for a card or hell, even a gift at this point for someone turning 40 or even 39 or 41 or whatever. If you want to get them something, like I have a friend, I hope he's not listening to this. I got him a special gift for his 40th birthday because I know it's something that he would really like. And so I got it. I don't think I've given him a birthday gift in 10 years or however long it's been, but I saw something that I knew that he would like, so I bought it for him. I'm going to give it to him at his birthday party. But like for the 40th birthday we just went to, all of us had basically the same idea for the gift that we were going to bring. I didn't bring a card, Geoff. I just got him 10 like peel off like cherry scratcher type things. Just gave it to him because I knew he'd like it.
Yeah, I bought him a scratch ticket.
Tim, I think there's the demarcation here. Firstly, if it's a good friend having a milestone, like not all gifts need to be equal. I got something like sentimental and important to one of my lifelong friends and someone else who I'm good friends with, but I don't have like that sort of connection with. I just got them a bottle of booze.
Yeah.
If someone is inviting you into their home, or they are, I mean, especially to their home to celebrate their birthday, you absolutely bring them a gift. If you are going to a restaurant and someone is feeding you and getting drinks, like paying for food and drinks, I believe you should get them a gift. The level of gift is strictly based on the relationship you feel like you have with the person. But if someone is opening their home to you to celebrate a birthday, I mean, this kind of happened recently, and we mocked our friend in the group chat who was like, are we bringing a gift? Like, it was for our friend's wife's birthday, not even our friend. And I was like, buddy, like, you're being invited into someone's home for the purposes of their birthday. I think you need to bring something.
Yeah, I think you're right. If they're hosting a birthday party at their place, just bring a bottle of wine. It doesn't need to be an expensive bottle of wine or anything like that. Just like something like, hey, here you go. Thanks. Be on your way. Like when I'm turning 40 next year, and I'll probably be having a birthday party. Actually, my wife will probably be having a birthday party for me. I don't expect anyone to give me anything. I don't care if anyone gives me anything.
Yeah, you shouldn't. But again, if you're like, people are going to a restaurant and it's food and drinks for your birthday, like, I think most people are going to show up with something.
Yeah, but like we went out to a place for this birthday. It was like at a restaurant location, but it's not like they covered the entire bill. Like I showed up, I paid for my drinks, I paid for my food, and I left. Like,
yeah, some appetizers were purchased for the group.
Yeah, and we all gave a little bit. But do you really want, like, for your birthday, Tim? Like, do you really want a bunch of stuff?
I mean, yes. I wouldn't mind getting stuff.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind if people gave me stuff, but at the same time, I don't feel like anybody should give me something because they feel obligated. I would rather not receive something than receive something if someone's like, well, I guess I got to bring them a bottle of wine. Like, I don't know, but I come from a family where we're gift givers, and that's just what we do. I'm used to being a gift giver, but like, I don't know what the social rules are about, when do I give gifts? How much is enough to give for a gift? How much is too much? And then if you set the precedence of giving a certain amount to one person, do you have to keep giving the same amount to somebody else? I mean, like, I know there's no one really keeping a tally of this, but in some sense,
you are. No, it sounds like you're keeping a tally of this.
I'm very anxious about it. I don't know.
You shouldn't be. Like, I spent more money on this one gift to a friend who's a very good friend of mine. I have closer friends, and I will spend more money on that one gift than I will on everyone else's gifts combined. Just because it's something that I know that they would like. I saw it, and I'm going to get it for them.
Yeah. I don't know that there's a right answer other than you just shouldn't come empty-handed. But even having 30, 20 bucks in 20 like in scratch tickets, I also think is appropriate just for a buddy's 40th birthday. But if you want to get something sentimental, like you're allowed. Like I don't think there's a rule, but I think showing up empty-handed is also like faux pas. You don't you have a drawer full of gift cards you could just put a paw into and pull something out?
I'd rather receive
Well, yeah, I
nothing than
could,
get
but-
one of Tim's gift cards. Honestly.
Well, I agree with you, but Tim's so nervous about them and he's about gifts and he's very prideful about having these gift cards on call.
Well, it is important to have gifts that you can, depend on a moment's notice. It's just, I don't know. We're at a certain age where I'm very uncertain when I should be purchasing gifts for events or gatherings. Like if someone's having a party at their house, do I have to keep bringing something every time for the host?
I
don't always show up
I
empty-handed.
kind of feel like it is an obligation.
But it's not like
no.
for my Christmas party, which you will, I assume, be going to. Are you going to bring anything? No. I told everyone to bring 10 or 20 bucks to tip the bartender.
Because of me, there's a sign.
That's true.
Well, I would say if you constantly go to someone's house for like a dinner invite, I don't think you need to every time show up with something.
Well, then how do
You
I know
should
which
also
times to bring up? How do
you
I
should
know
also
which times?
never not like you should also not always show up with nothing. That
Why?
makes any sense.
I would say as a default position, Jeff's position is correct. But I think that if you're being invited to someone's 40th birthday, it's not like you're gaining friends by the time you're at 40. They're probably people that are somewhat close to you that you probably know, like on a case-by-case basis. Like I know that we have one friend who is turning 40 next year, and if we didn't get him something, he would absolutely lose his fucking mind.
Exactly.
Oh, it would be a
You kind of
meltdown.
know these exactly, and everyone knows. Everyone knows,
But-
and then you have friends
and maybe
who
I-
don't want to
well-
even have a birthday. Like,
But also, you
wanna
don't
be
want to show
celebrated.
up. But also, like, you don't want to show up your other friends. Like, if I show up with a gift for somebody and the other friend shows up with nothing, I don't want to show them up either.
What?
So,
I
like-
don't even know what anyone got anyone else at the other birthday. Maybe this is a privileged Pat talking here, but if I want something, I'm going to go get it. I don't need anyone else to get it for me.
Of course.
So if I want something, I go and get it. So
And
I
fact
don't
of
need
the
to
matter
rely on
is-
anyone else to get it. Like,
I mean, I can't
I'm not
speak
20.
I can't speak to your friend who like desperately needs to be acknowledged and being given a gift because we all have those friends. But a lot of friends of mine like threw sorts of things for turning 40 and they like really didn't want a gift. They didn't give a shit about a gift, but you still like, I don't know, you kind of want to bring something because you don't want to walk into a party for someone's birthday they've invited you to empty-handed.
Yeah, for me, and maybe this is, I don't know how, like, we host, like, my family and my wife's family all the time. We got the kids, so everyone comes to us for Thanksgiving and Christmas and whatever it might be. Just bring me, like, a $20 bottle of red or white, because then I can give that wine to them when they show up, and they don't drink my good wine. Like, you have to think that most of the stuff that you're getting people for their birthday is probably going to be regifted at this point.
Like, I wouldn't recommend
Oh, I don't
getting
think
some-
that's
like, what are you gonna
that's bad form.
I don't think that's
what would
exactly
be
what's
bad
going to happen.
form?
Like,
I'm very much against
if you give someone a gift card to fucking wherever, they're probably not going to use it. They're probably just going to use it as a gift to give someone else.
Oh,
I'd
I would
be
be very
honest.
hurt. I'd be very hurt if I found that out. I would
Showing
rather
up-
it be thrown out than given away like that.
What?
show it.
No, my gifts are not to be regifted.
Tim, oh my! I'll tell
Oh
you
my
this.
goodness. That's terrible. You should never regift anything.
It is a
definitely
very
regifted, I
entitled
think.
point of view.
Oh, that's a terrible thing to do. That gift
There's
is
a
I
bottle
mean,
of
you
tequila I regifted
you
a couple
put
weeks
such
ago.
little effort into getting the shit gift anyway that yeah, of course, like I'm gonna when I forget to give someone a gift and you give me the $20 liquor store gift card, yeah, I'll probably regift that. Paul, yes,
Oh,
Paul would like to
no.
weigh in.
This is all coming. This happened after the show, but this is all coming from the guy who we gifted him a Tim Tebow Jets jersey, and he tried to leave it behind.
Yeah,
Tim, like you give me a $20 gift card.
Well, I'm not going to regift it to anybody else.
you're
You
just
give me
gonna
a
leave it.
$20 gift card. like there's a good chance I'm just giving it to like one of my kids' teachers or something.
Yeah.
No, I was about to say if you're going to give it to one of your kids to use, I'd had no problem with that. But if you're going to give it to one of your kids' teachers, no, I don't
but
give
do you
somebody
know
a
what?
gift for the purpose of then
Showing
giving it to
up-
somebody else. That's bad form.
You know what's bad form? I mean this. I would rather someone show up to a little gathering, even if I was paying for some food or drinks for my birthday empty-handed because I've invited you and I'm happy to do it. That is better form than walking into someone's potluck with a box of frozen matzo sticks asking if they could use the oven. That,
Oh, please.
no, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Does matzo sticks steal the show?
Pat agrees. I know he does. That is
There were matzo sticks purchased at this event on Saturday night, and I paid close attention, and they were the first ones to be gone from all the appetizers. The first one, and there were lots of appetizers. But no one wants matzo. I'm offending everybody by bringing in matzo sticks to a potluck.
that's
Even though
not
they're the
what I
most
said.
popular. They're the most popular thing there, and everyone is fired up when they show up.
I said when you walk into someone's house with a box of $9.99 frozen matzahs.
Well, someone's got to cook them. I'm not bringing them cold. Tried that. They're not that good. We got to cook them at the place.
Bringing it for somebody else to cook it is way more disrespectful
could
than
cook
bringing
it, but I
nothing
don't-
at all.
I
Dropping
could
it
cook
up
it, but
on
I
the
don't-
table and being like, "Hey,
Well,
cook this right now."
I would cook it, but I don't know how their oven works. I don't know where they keep their pans. I don't know
Then
where they
don't
keep
bring
their
it.
Pam. I don't know where any of it is. So, like, I'm not bringing all my stuff to their house. They've got all that stuff. No. It's easy enough for them just to fire it in the air fryer for us.
But you know how to use the air fryer.
I don't know how to use other people's air fryers. I know how to use my air fryer.
Do you think that
I have
the
the slightest clue how to use
do you think
yours.
that the really do you think that the range of air fryers
I
is
have
so dramatic that you
no
couldn't you'd look at it and be
idea.
like, "Well, this is basically hieroglyphics."
I don't know. I
There's
don't
the-
want to
there's-
go around
there's the-
pushing a bunch of buttons. People have the settings that they like on their stuff. Who am I to go into somebody's house and start playing around with their various appliances?
So this
no.
this
Here, I
again
brought this. Cook it for
this
us.
again is a big main character type of thing. While you can't have people judging you about the gifts that you bring, and when you bring a
I don't
gift,
wanna be
well then
judged.
they have to make them. Well, it just sounds like a lot of this is in your head.
Well, maybe no. It's not main character syndrome. Maybe some of it is in my head, but it's because I'm quite an empath and I care about how people feel.
You know, you don't care about how people feel and you're not empathetic whatsoever. As someone pointed out, empathy is not putting yourself into someone else's shoes about how you would feel. It's understanding how they feel, which you don't do. You just think that everyone feels like you do.
Well, I presume that my feelings are pretty commensurate with other people's
Well, that would
feelings,
make you the
yes.
most unempathetic person in the world because that's unequivocally not true.
Well, look. I don't know where we're going here. Geoff took a shot at matzo sticks for no reason.
No, I'm saying one.
I
Is
don't
like
know how to use
actually
other
a
people's
bigger
air fryers.
party.
I don't know how to use their stuff. I brought it for us to share. I'm only going to have one or two myself. Here's the box. Let's cook it so we can have it.
Here's your gift,
saying
Geoff.
it's
Why don't you cook me
Bad
something?
etiquette.
Well, I don't know how to use your oven.
Well,
I don't know how to use your heat fryer.
maybe pick something else then. Maybe something
Yeah,
that you
maybe-
can do.
No, but I like matzo sticks.
Maybe I don't.
But you can't. You're making this about the matzo sticks.
He's making
and
it
I'm
about
just like,
himself because he's the main character.
you don't like. You don't need to. I don't know how to say this politely.
I've been to lots of gatherings and get-togethers where people bring stuff that have to go into the other person's oven before they eat it.
Yeah, it's probably homemade.
So what? Who cares if it's homemade? What does that have to do with anything?
Well, it's a big difference. They put time and effort. You walking into the
Okay, so now you're judging my effort. Just because somebody is more
Yes,
talented
a lot
than
of
they
this
put-
boils down that you want to have the perception that you've done something nice for someone, be it a
I
gift, but you've put the lowest amount of effort into it.
I went out
And
to
that is the
store
part
and
that
I
will be judged.
No. I went out to the store and purchased an appetizer that everybody loves, and I brought it to the house. I bought it myself, and all I'm asking is them to heat it up so we can all enjoy it, because I couldn't eat it up at home and bring it there cold.
Yeah, my point is some people like spent a lot of time that afternoon making homemade something, and you
Yeah.
walk to the grocer's freezer pull out the $8.99 matzo sticks.
Oh, so
box
now-
and looking for a hero cookie.
So I should have brought nothing then. So unless I am
No,
up at home whipping
something-
together a gourmet meal, I'm showing disrespect to my host.
I don't know
That's
how
what
to
it is.
explain what I'm trying.
No, you
I know.
you
That's
have
the problem.
you have explained it very clearly. I understand what you're saying. Paul and Jared know what you're saying. The viewers know what you're saying. Tim just doesn't get it. He isn't
I
quite.
have no idea what you're talking
Well,
about.
this is really the problem now, isn't it? That you just don't get it.
No, you're right. I don't get it. I don't understand why it's a big deal that my gift is disregarded and other people's gifts are embraced.
No one else is showing up with something from the frozen freezer.
So then first, that's not true. People will show up with like a box of chicken wings or any number of things.
Where are you going?
So you're
These are-
saying-
can you give me an example where
Gatherings.
this is a thing? What
Like
gatherings?
we've had
Are people,
parties or gatherings where people bring these sorts of things.
when?
And like,
Am I not
like, why
invited to
it-
these?
Yeah, you're invited to these. Like, why?
Do
what
I
Geoff
go
is
to
saying
them?
is it'd be better. No, usually you don't. It would be better if I showed up with like a shrimp ring and plopped it right down the middle of the
No,
counter.
no, that's
It needs
exactly.
to be
That, I mean,
'Cause
yeah.
that way, at least it didn't have to be heated up, and I
Yes.
didn't inconvenience anybody terribly
But what
by
he-
turning on their air fryer.
Yes.
and being history's greatest monster.
Well, you're but
literally saying
the
you
whole
should've
point is that you're not turning on their air fryer. You're making them turn on their air fryer
I
as
don't
a
know
gift
how.
for
It's their
them.
air fryer.
Well, maybe learn how to fucking do something. Someone learned how to
Learn
cook.
how to use someone.
Someone learned how to cook a meal.
That's a really good idea.
Someone learned how to cook a meal in order to bring that and spent the time, went and bought the ingredients, made something for this homemade meal that maybe you do have to heat up in the oven when it comes over. But they spent a lot of time and a lot of effort into making something unique where you're just like, oh yeah, I'm a hero. I went to the store for 3 seconds and bought the cheapest fucking thing possible.
While the shrimp ring is also a faux pas, technically based on effort, it's actually way better than needing to use their appliances to make something.
Oh, based on effort. So unless I am slaving
honestly,
away in
Tim-
the kitchen, I shouldn't bring anything.
Yes.
Like the best thing you could do for the hosts when if you're like going to do something like that, is just get like a fucking pie and be part of dessert and just get a pie. Like, I don't know. That would be my advice.
The main thing, like, Cust is tasked with, generally speaking, is like bringing paper plates and paper towel.
No, sometimes I'm asked to bring the vegetable.
Can I
tray or
give you a
fruit tray.
compliment now? Because I feel like I've just been hard on you,
Sure,
and I mean
sure,
this.
sure.
I think did you like have an engagement on Sunday? Because you looked pretty sharp on the panel desk there.
That was my normal Sunday attire.
Oh, okay, good. Just saying,
Appreciate
you're looking good. You're looking good.
I mean, I wasn't wearing the tuxedo that Cam thought I had on a couple of weeks ago. I appreciate the comment. That's very kind of you.
People are very...
I don't. So when you go to a friend's house for a party, unless you have cooked something from scratch and bring it over in a casserole dish, you might as well bring nothing.
Yes.
You're insulting them if you bring over a chips,
No.
or you bring over a jar of salsa, or you bring over it's an insult.
Well,
If you're
at least those things don't require them to do extra effort to prep it.
If you are bringing something,
who's upset to turn on the air fryer for some delicious matzo
If you're
Well, then
bringing
why don't
some-
you fucking do it?
Because I don't know how
Well,
to use
that
their
is, you don't think that
appliance.
you could learn how to do that? It's the fucking easiest thing in the world.
50-50
if you're
at
taking
best.
the laziest route available, then
Laziest
you
route
can't
available.
also
Like if you can't show up to my house and use my air fryer to cook up your mozzarella sticks, like what's your Uber? The short bus on the way
No, but
there?
I
They're
would
not
also
my
argue-
mozzarella sticks. They're
I
for
would also-
everybody.
the oven is being reserved for like Margaret, who spent all day making this homemade dish.
That's fine.
Not
I
that
can put
you-
mine on the top rack above hers.
You just don't get
I
it.
just think that's. I mean,
I don't
to
wanna
me,
be-
walking into.
You don't want to get
a-
it. You want to continue to have as little effort as possible with these things.
No,
so you don't
no,
want
I
to
just don't
acknowledge
want to
that
be
other
judged.
people put. Well, you're being judged.
Walking into
Deal
a
with it. If you're
potluck-
so concerned about being judged, know that you are being judged, and people think you're low effort Cust.
It's not low effort. I went
Walk-
out of my way to bring something that everyone will enjoy, but God forbid you have
Everyone
to eat it up.
brought something. That's what a
Okay.
potluck is. Everyone is bringing
And yet I'm the only one who's taking heat.
because you're the.
You're the only one
Okay,
making
let's
extra
just go-
work for people.
You're the one
Let's
with the
just go
least
back to
effort.
my original theory. Like someone is treating friends to a few drinks and apps at a bar for their birthday. showing up to that giftless is way less disrespectful than just showing up to a potluck with a box of something from the frozen aisle at the grocery store.
I would agree
That's
with you.
my point.
I would
Okay,
agree
so
with
my brain just, I can't wrap my brain around that. I'm sorry.
Okay,
We'll just
I
have to
don't
agree
know
to
how to-
disagree because I don't understand that. To
you.
me.
All that
just
goes
makes, to
on
me, that
in,
makes no
in-
sense.
all that's going on in your brain is A, I know socially I am obligated to bring something. B, I'm incredibly cheap, so what's the cheapest, least effort thing I
No,
can do?
no, it's
and you're
not.
weighing
No.
those two things against each other.
Not about being cheap at all.
It's either cheap with
you're
your money or
going to
cheap
the
with your
grocery
time, one of
store-
the two.
If you're going to the grocery store at the last minute for a potluck, you've really got two options. Like I said, like a dessert pie or like a fruit tray. That's really it.
You know what you
That's
could do to solve all your problems with this is call a restaurant, which I know is a big deal, and order mozzarella sticks that are already made, order a bunch of them, pick them up, and then you can heat them up in the microwave. That I'm sure you could use.
That would be
Or
like
Uber
10
Eats
times
them
more
to the
expensive.
front door.
Well, who cares? I thought you weren't being cheap.
No, but I'm also not going to be needlessly profligate.
So this goes back to you being cheap.
No, but I mean, look, it's a.
Let's
it's a
vote.
year
Let's
from
vote. Who votes on Cust being cheap?
Not going to drop
I vote.
$80.
There's 2 votes back here.
2 votes back there. Jeff?
Fine, that's fine. I'm used to being ganged up on.
4-1.
All the gifts I
Gang
bring are terrible,
banged
all the
him.
food I
Getting
choose is
gang
terrible.
banged right now on his
Yeah,
cheapness.
that's that. Apparently, how dare I bring anything to a public gathering?
No, you just seem to want a lot of credit for doing fucking nothing.
Bring
I
something.
don't-
Bring something better,
Yeah,
pal.
bring something that everyone would enjoy, not just you.
I am.
No, you say, okay, you've been off on what to bring. We tell you, you're like, I don't understand that. We tell you that people
They
don't
were the
want
first thing
we
gone
don't-
off the appetizer
Yeah, you know
table
what?
on Saturday.
From the
The very first.
from the restaurant, not just some shit that you pulled out of the fucking frozen section.
You can take it out of the air fryer. They're pretty.
Then
pretty
you
close.
make them in the air fryer. Then make that your goal. You can show up and you can make them.
I don't want to take the house.
You don't want
time.
to do
Run
it.
through a tutorial.
You don't
for me.
want to do it. It will take you 5 seconds to do it.
Well, look, I've got to. When I'm at the party, I've got to mingle. I've got to talk to people. That's what I'm there for. To be social and gregarious.
And you've put the onus on the host to go cook something for you so they
It's
can
not
take time
an
away
onus.
from
First,
their party.
they're the host. Hosting, there are certain obligations that come with hosting.
To cook
and
your
one of
fucking
them-
food for
And
you?
there's certain levels of respect that you have to bring into
And
a
my respect is
potluck.
that I brought, something that everyone would share and enjoy.
You brought something that
But no,
you
no,
would
that's not-
like.
Everybody likes.
No, you're like our
I mean, I
friend
do
that
like it,
brings
but
the
everybody
certain
likes it.
type of chips that he likes to parties and then gets mad if you try to have any. That's you.
Well, no, 'cause I wouldn't get upset. I don't expect to eat all the matzo
Well,
sticks. I may have
Tim,
one.
there are rumors that like you do.
Tim,
Like, you
Tim basically
watch
ate all the
over-
meat. He basically ate all the
Yeah.
meatballs at the Christmas party one year.
Oh, that is
Paul?
a complete
Paul?
and utter slander.
Absolutely
Complete-
factual. Everyone
Paul,
was saying it. It wasn't me
Let's
that
just
like
say
I
that
didn't
in a
make this
court of
up.
law,
Someone-
Paul would not be an eligible witness, given the condition that P-Shag was in as I was
I
eating those
wasn't
meatballs.
there, but
That's
the
probably
propaganda,
fair.
Tim. I wasn't there, but the propaganda against you here is quite strong.
Well, yes, but it always is, Jeff. This is the no spin zone, okay? Where I'm here to tell you the truth. I had a few of those meatballs. Those meatballs were delicious. I didn't eat all those meatballs.
Few
I'm
dozen.
not.
Is it-
Like, no,
Is
no.
it true that when other people
I'm not-
grabbed them, you gave them like a stink eye?
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
He was staked out
No.
next to them.
No.
It
I
was
would
like-
think that-
It was like monitoring how many that they were taking too.
No, I wasn't. That's a bit much. I mean, I had an eye on them because I wanted to make sure that once everybody had their fair go at them, that what was left I could go.
They
for.
were gone by the time most people got there.
Well, I also don't know how many like more times are coming out either. Like, there's no way for me to know that.
All right.
You know what I mean?
No, I got you. Yes. Oh, yes, Paul.
I don't know if we've ever had this on the same timeline. We talked about it in another show, but Geoff and his doppelganger, has Geoff had a chance to react to this yet?
I feel like this came up last year also.
I know.
This commercial.
The first time I heard about this was on last week's Best Bet show.
Me
But
too.
yeah, that's good shit. Like that is like 3rd and 10 completion. Yeah, like that is me. Like that is me. McConkey into the end zone. Yeah, like I could do that. That's very much me. And my hair can get crazy. I mean, it isn't now, but I grow that shit. I mean, that really isn't now, but I'm capable of having like a wild pompadour. So that could work.
Let's move to the late set of games. We got Atlanta and New Orleans. I don't even know if this is a late game or not. Don't care. It is the Saints 3.5-point dogs at home to the Falcons. Everything in my being wants me to take the Saints here, Tim, but I think I just have to take Atlanta. Plug my nose and be like, they have to be the better team here.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I couldn't imagine taking New Orleans in this spot. No, I can't. Sorry.
Yeah.
The problem is, as I said this on the Sunday show, you can't trust the Falcons. And if this is a spot where you think, oh, I can finally trust them, they'll let you down. So, like, I wouldn't touch this game. But if I'm forced to make a pick, and I will take Atlanta with very little confidence.
Yeah.
What's the deal here?
What's the deal with Atlanta? Is that what you're saying?
No, like this seems like the fishiest line of the week to me. Like, oh, there are some other short lines that might be confusing, or I hate when people say trap lines. This feels like the scariest line out there. I'm just taking the same. This is like how Pizzola would hate it. But part of me just wants to take the Saints because I have no clue and it feels weird. That being said, when I say take the Saints, I mean for the purposes of like a pick 'em or an office pool. I can't bet this game. This game is unbettable.
See,
Agreed.
I see. I don't know.
I don't have
it feels like Atlanta. I mean, we've seen a few of these games. The Green Bay game you brought up a few weeks ago was this way. The Minnesota on Thursday night felt this way. Hell, fuck the Texans last Thursday night. Like every jabroni better was all over Houston against the Jets. Well, how could the Jets be favored in this game? And this line smells of that. And just there's something in me being like, and maybe it's because New Orleans statistically dominated Carolina last week and lost the game. That maybe they're just saying, hey, that's a one-off, that's a fluke. If they played that way again, the game would still be close. And that game was close, but this is a better team that we're going up against. We don't know if Drake London's playing. Like, that could be a factor here. It's a division game. It's in New Orleans. Like, there are factors in the case of New Orleans. Just Atlanta seems like a substantially better team right now.
A substantially better team. They're fundamentally seem way more sound. All of these times where they have so historically slipped in seasons past, they're not. You know, like a perfect, I don't even care to compare it, but I'm saying it. You know, like they went to Carolina and had to lay 4.5 points like a month ago, and it felt weird a bit. I was still on Atlanta, but they dominated. Like they just seem like they're so much more prepared to not play down to the level that they always play down to, whether it be Arthur Smith or the late stages of whoever it was before him. They're not falling victim to that stuff right now, it seems.
It was a 2-point game when they tangled in Atlanta last.
What week was that?
Week 4.
When we were
end
in
of September.
Montreal, maybe.
And it felt like the Saints were, like, just even looking at their roster right now, the Saints were a much different team, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Just saying, like, I understand where if you wanted to take the Saints in this divisional game, and with no faith in Atlanta, I totally get where it's coming from.
But also, since then, Adebo's out for the year. They just traded Lattimore, like
Olave. And
yeah, but Atlanta 2 weeks.
Tyson, they lost another a couple weeks ago. They lost before the Chargers game. They lost.
I know, but Atlanta can play like they did against the Seahawks, like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but the Seahawks are good. The Seahawks offense. Yeah, but the Seahawks offense is electric indoors.
Just saying, there are games where they can just not show up.
I'm taking Atlanta, even though it feels so wrong. And I thought I talked myself into taking the Saints. But I just trust coach and quarterback here. I really like Raheem Morris. I like Kirk Cousins, which means I got to swallow it.
Niners and the Bucks. This game's in Tampa. The Bucks are 5.5-point underdogs coming off of Monday Night Football, Jeff, in overtime, lost to the Chiefs. And the Niners are coming off a bye week, and it seems like everyone is going to be back except for Brandon Ayuk, who is out for the season. But it seems like we're getting a healthy Kittle. We're getting a healthy Debo, and Christian McCaffrey is expected to play in this game.
This could be my super lock because there's nothing more unfair the league could do than have you play a team off a bye when you just played Monday Night Football. There's only one other thing. There's only one extra layer they could do, which could make this sequence more unfair, which Tampa's not falling victim to, but the Chargers are in a few weeks, is to make you travel across the country. I'm taking the 49ers here. I kind of want to bet them to win the division now. I just don't. I'm not buying Tim's Arizona Cardinals, and I think they can outlast everyone else, despite losing those crucial head-to-heads to those teams. This could be my super lock.
It's hard to really build a compelling case for the Bucks here. I guess, Tim, I'm guessing you're going to take Tampa because you just don't believe in San Francisco. And I think that's the case you'd have to make because everything else just points to San Francisco.
And Tampa had nobody last night and went toe-to-toe on the road against the Chiefs.
They're still going to have
the best or second best. Who were either the best or second best team in football, and they went toe-to-toe with them. San Francisco is not in their league. So, I know the Niners are coming off a bye, but I think that's there's good value on the I think this game should be a 3-point game. It should not be 5.5. This is you're paying a tax to pick San Francisco.
No.
Take the Buccaneers.
You're crazy to think this should be 3 points.
Would you
in Tampa? Yeah, I think it should.
Off a bye, I don't even Kyle Shanahan 9-5 ATS doing that East Coast 1:00 game for what
I
it's
get
worth.
you. No, it's just this Tampa team showed a lot of resolve the last couple of weeks.
And they lost at the wire due to a dumb coach. So they came in the building a bit demoralized after getting home late.
I don't trust either of these coaches if it comes down to the last second. Tough decisions to be made.
Per your favorite DVOA, Tim, San Francisco and Kansas City are neck and neck right now.
Do you believe that?
Kind of, yeah. Like San Francisco's had giant leads in most of these games, and they've given them all back at the end. So obviously the record reflects how they've played, but they've just had, even in that Dallas game, which is a game they almost tried to give away at the end, you saw them when it clicked, and you're like, oh shit, there they are, and they just haven't done it for 4 quarters. Getting some of their manpower back, getting healthier, getting this bye week is a chance for a big reset for them to come out and clean up a lot. Even their kicker's healthy again. All that stuff counts. And they've already been good per the numbers. It's just that the coaching at the end of these games, trying to keep these leads, has just been abysmal. And I don't necessarily think that... Tampa can do exactly what they did on Monday night to Kansas City and not cover this game with the same score. It's not like I think the Bucs have some sort of huge home field advantage.
No, I don't either. I just think that they've had some pretty good resolve. And I don't trust San Francisco. And the Niners have some really tough games left on their schedule. So, they're far from in the barn here. I think they're still in some trouble.
Well, they have the toughest game left of the year, Jeff, on their schedule. They have to play Arizona again.
Well, no, they have the Packers, the Bills, the Lions.
2 teams you told us aren't good, by the way, the Packers and Bills.
No, I said that they're both tough teams. And they are tough teams.
So the Bills are tough now. They're not soft.
Like a tough win. That's a Sunday night football game at the Ralph for San Francisco.
What characteristic when you watch them leads you to believe they're soft?
Apparently they have a bad run defense, according to Tim, and that
the
makes
Bills
them
can't
soft.
tackle. The Bills can't tackle.
Neither can the
Jets. Neither can the Dolphins. The whole AFC East is replete with teams who cannot tackle. Paul won't disagree with me on that.
Oh. Can I do this right now? Because we did the Chargers game earlier. So
if Godfrey would make this show any longer.
No, well, I meant to say this. It's actually really important. Hear me out for a moment. I think every Charger should wear those Guardian caps this week because the Chargers are playing Melvin Ingram, and he possesses, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Tim one time did a definitive ranking list of STDs, and Melvin Gordon has the number one ranked STD, and I need my boys having extra protection on the same field as him. So Guardian caps for all the Chargers. Stay away from that.
I want to clarify that no such rank has ever been produced by me, nor will it.
You didn't rank them?
No, and I actually do like the idea of teams wearing Guardian caps. If I was running a team, I would strongly, strongly encourage all of my players to wear them.
But if you did rank them, what would be number one?
I have no earthly idea what number one should be. Do you rank them based on what is worst? Do you rank them based on what is like most curable? I have no idea. I don't want to know. I don't even want to delve into that thought process. I'll leave that to you. You and your friends on 4chan can go ahead and rank STDs as you deem fit.
I mean, if Jeff's
that's where your mind is.
Jeff's friends on 4chans, in perfect fairness to them, have no chance of ever getting an STD.
Oh, that's good. Oh, man.
Pittsburgh and Washington.
Good thing you brought that up, though, Jeff. I'm glad we stopped the show for that.
I could not acknowledge the Melvin, the Kenneth Murray revenge game. I can't wait to bulldoze them.
The only question is, will Derwin commit another disqualifying penalty before a Chargers playoff game, or will he get it out of the way here in the regular season again so that he's fresh for the playoffs?
Well, they're kicking dudes out of games for little to no
they're
reason
kicking them
now.
out for very questionable things. The Derwin James has got to be next up for the next time he targets somebody.
Okay, maybe.
There was a Colts fan who did tell us on Sunday night that he thought that it was very unfair that the Colts had to play the Vikings during election week with crooked Tillery on their team.
I did see that the subreddit claim they had won the most electoral quarters. That's why they won.
That's how they beat Detroit. How is it that they lost the game, yet they won the electoral quarters?
The popular score doesn't count. It's all about the electoral quarters.
You know, I actually just looked. It's that time of the night where the election has gone off the board and it's now under like live betting.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Kentucky and Indiana close at 6:00 Eastern.
Kentucky is how it's pronounced, I've heard.
Okay.
That's how Daniel Day-Lewis pronounced it in Last of the Mohicans.
Hated that movie.
Really? A lot of running.
Well, I just remember being like 12 years old and a cross-country flight to San Diego, and that was the movie on the plane, and that was the days where like...
Oh, you just had the big screen?
You had to watch it because all the little screens either came down or were just there.
Yeah,
the
movie on the plane is the movie on the plane. There's no
watch
choice.
that, or you just read, By the way, can I just say, because I hadn't flown, before we went to Montreal, I hadn't flown in years, just before the pandemic. I really missed not having that magazine in the little flap in front of my seat. Because there were interesting little stories about like travel and people like the restaurants. I would never go to any of these places. It was just interesting to pass the time by reading like the Air Canada in-flight magazine,
the duty-free stuff,
and stuff like that. I always enjoyed looking at that, even though I wasn't going to travel to any of those places or eat any of those things. Nevertheless, it was like interesting to look at, and I guess they must be done away with because there were none there.
Did you know that I wrote for Air Canada magazine like 12 years ago under a fake name?
En route? You wrote for En route?
I did. I got the job after I finished up at Sportsnet magazine. But I didn't want my name to be published in it. And it paid really well.
What did you write about? Cities or?
Yeah, I wrote about Halifax restaurants, Toronto restaurants, even some guides of like going to places like here. Because I had written a piece about the Kiowa PGA Championship, I want to say in 2012.
It was
there, and I did a road tour of Charleston, a place where I had never been, and was able to drum up enough information that the editor who saw it was friends with someone who was at the Air Canada magazine, really enjoyed the column that I wrote about Charleston, despite not ever having been there. People weren't good at the internet in 2012. If you were like decent at it, you were good.
So basically, you did what I do when I travel. You just checked out Google Maps.
Yeah, and then wrote. And I got paid to do it.
Now, did you get to choose your own nom de plume, or did they just assign one to you?
They just assigned it to like staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to be like
Do you
credited
think
for
I'm
this.
wrong? Like, don't you think those magazines, like, I don't know, there's something charming about them?
I mean, yes and no. What they've moved the magazine onto the screen in front of you. You can just tap the screen and read the article.
I don't want to.
Well,
I
you
want
know
to-
what? I'm fucking
Honestly-
sorry. You know what? You know what they did? They found, as someone who owns shares in Air Canada, I'm glad they've cut down the expense of printing magazines only you read on your one every 4-year flight.
I'm so subsumed with electronics all the time. There is something to be said about
Then
just
go
flipping through a
buy a
magazine.
newspaper and fucking bring it with you.
Well, it should be there. It's
No.
part
I
of
used
the
to
price
hand
of the
out
ticket.
newspapers.
They did.
They
I
still do
remember
it
when
for-
they'd ask you.
They still do in
Yeah, 'cause-
first class, Jeff.
Well,
I
fair
know,
enough.
I know they still do, but not even as they used to like have so
did.
many just floating through that thing.
It used to be, yeah, like, I don't want to sound like an old man here, but like flying even 20 years ago was a
like
lot
one of
more
the major
enjoyable.
papers was like a sponsor with the airline, so there were
Yeah.
always papers. You didn't need to fly in first class to get.
You
the
didn't. They
papers.
would just walk down the aisle and say National Post, Globe and Mail, like whatever you wanted, you got.
I mean, that also assumes like basically newspapers still exist, which they almost don't.
Well, they do, but they do in an airport. You do see them. They're in the Hudson newsstands or whatever they're called.
Then you should buy one and bring it on the plane if you want to read something.
Well, I just feel like they should give. I'm
And,
used to.
and you're going to
receiving-
sound old. Jeff was just talking about seeing movies on a screen and pulling out his cigarette and smoking it on an airplane, basically. So that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh at Washington. Washington is a 3-point favorite at home against the new look Steelers with Mike Williams and trading for D lineman Russell Wilson at quarterback. This is a very interesting game. This is a good litmus test for the Commanders in this spot. Like they should have run the Bears out of the building but couldn't score in the red zone. It's kind of the opposite last week where they just got up by a bunch and went on cruise control the entire time. They were never really in danger of losing that game to the Giants. They were in danger of maybe not covering the game, backdoor against the Giants, but even that wasn't that big of a concern. I happen to think, Jeff, that Washington is significantly better than Pittsburgh.
Even the Reds. Damn it!
You were doing good.
Washington's official Twitter account even tweeted that they're like the first team. How long it's been since a team that won like with a walk-off whatever actually like won the next game. So I was not surprised, but I actually give them. They're playing the shitty Giants, but I thought last week was a horrible spot for them, even against a bad team. I find this one pretty tough. It's probably going to even be right with the number, but I'm with you, Pat. Even off a bye, I'm going to try to fade the Steelers. I'm not a fan.
It feels like Washington gets got, and this is the perfect team to do it, or Washington just pumps them. Like I don't know if Washington. I don't know if this defense can slow down Washington in the style of offense that Washington plays. I don't think that this is the right defense to actually like give them a ton of problems. Could be dead wrong on that, but if you can just like run away from J.J. Watt. As we just pointed out, they actually don't get to the quarterback all that often. No one's really getting to Daniels anyway behind that O-line. And Lattimore should play in this game, improve it a little bit. We know that the D-line on Washington can get to Russ, how he's forced him to move around a little. Like, you just have to hope that Pickens and Williams don't come down with every single one of those jump balls.
I'm going to flip-flop. I'm going against you here.
Okay.
It just got brought to my attention. Washington plays the Eagles next week on Thursday. That's enough for me to want the 3 points at home with Pittsburgh.
All right. Pittsburgh's not at home. They're in Washington.
Sorry, that's just enough for me to take the 3 points. This game's going to be within 3 or inside of it. It's going to be a super tight game.
That's why I'm taking the Steelers. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think that one team is significantly better than the other. I think it's a close game. I think that given the week off, I think Tomlin's going to have some good plays to disrupt the rookie. And I think Pittsburgh's got a real chance to win.
Okay.
Would you actually want to bet this game, Pat?
It's on short list super lock.
It's a game that people are going to want to see. It's not a game I know.
Washington continues to be undervalued in the market for how good they are. And it's I mean, just look at their ATS record. They just crush ATS. Like, it's the same
You're
reason, like when I
probably-
pick against the Lions every week and feel like a moron, that because when Dan Campbell's been their coach, they're 40-15 against the spread. And I just bet against them every week like an idiot. Fortunately, I bet on Washington every week now.
You're probably right. This just feels like a game that I have no read on. That will be a total stay away. There's no result that could totally shock me out of this one, I feel.
I'm with you, but the bet that you're making is that this defense, this Pittsburgh D, is going to shut down Washington's offense. We know that the Pittsburgh's offense isn't all that great. You can run on Washington, but that's kind of the game that they want to lull you into. That's what they did to the Giants in the first half. They were like, you know what? You want to run for 4 yards per carry? Go for it. You turn down, you try to have these extended plays or extended drives against us, see how that works out. We're just going to march down the field against you. And I think that's what they're going to do against Pittsburgh. And it's going to be like one of those weird Colts-Miami games, Tim, where the Colts would just score immediately, then the Dolphins would take all the time in the world to come down. Like, Pittsburgh might win time of possession here, and I don't think it's going to matter.
I think it's a game where the rookie plays a little bit more like a rookie, and the coach and the good defense hem them in. It's a close game. They make a mistake or two, and Pittsburgh gets them like 20-17.
Very possible. No, I wouldn't say it's the most likely outcome, but most definitely possible. But I just think at the upper end, if Washington wins, I don't think they'll win by 2 or 3. I think they'll win by like 7 or 14.
Would it be too much of an overreach to actually say the result in this game in some ways can take extra importance for me? Like, if Daniels can win this game, can win it convincingly, can look awesome against a defense like Pittsburgh, which you mentioned, maybe it's some fluff, but in the end, there's a reputation there that I'm still willing to buy into. Out of a bye, that's almost like, who the fuck's going to figure this guy out? If that defense off a bye still got. Like, this is a game where if they succeed here, Washington, they hit a different notch.
Yeah, and
in terms of how I would rank them in the league totality.
And I happen to think they're already there this season, running as they currently are. Now, we did see against a Bears defense, which has been pretty good so far this year, they had those red zone problems. They had the red zone problems against the Giants. They continue to have the red zone problems against Pittsburgh. There's no way that they cover this number. They'll probably lose the game. But, we see a different version of, let's say, the Browns defense every single week, where... let me ask you this, as it pertains to the Browns. Were you shocked that they were able to get home so easily against Herbert in that game?
A little bit, right? There were some problems. There's not a lot of teams that can do that. Myles Garrett doesn't exist everywhere, but they really changed up some looks and created a lot of pressure. And you brought it up. It is disgusting. The lack of respect for Justin Herbert. This guy stands in there strong, delivers it, gets his head blown off, face masks, out of bounds. These refs, the flag's up their ass. Jared Goff, you put a pinky on. They run to protect him.
No one touches Jared Goff, though. That's the difference. No one even gets close to him.
So I appreciate Coach calling out the league, maybe paying a penalty on a Monday press conference that I can so proudly watch. And let's not forget how far we have come now that I can watch those. Oh, but yeah, no, it's the Browns got there, but Herbert will stand in there. He will die to deliver that ball strong-armed. And I fucking love him.
Yeah, and I think
it's a concern.
But I think if Herbert was healthy against Pittsburgh the week that they played, that he could have done a similar thing to Pittsburgh as he just did against Cleveland. And I just am remembering when Washington played Cleveland, like Washington just steamrolled that defense.
Yeah, I'm convinced the Chargers would have won one of the Pittsburgh or Chiefs games if Herbert had functioning foot. Wow.
Sorry. Okay. I'm on Washington. I like Washington a lot here. I'm prepared to have egg on my face, but if I do make it my super lock again, Geoff, I am 8-1. So we'll see if I can continue the heater going if Washington ends up making the list for me on that front. Philly
got to tell you.
No, you don't have to do that. Philly and Dallas. You've already switched your pick once. You can't switch back. Them's the rules. Philly and Dallas. Cooper Rush probably starting at QB. The Eagles are 7.5-point favorites in Dallas. I don't know. Philly... Like, basically, here, I'll flip the coin and see what the coin says and go with them. Philly. I'll take Philly. Like, 7.5 seems like the appropriate number here because If they don't have A.J. Brown, I just don't feel like their offense is all that good. And that worries me, even against Dallas. And Micah Parsons should be back here.
So there's only 3 games in this window because it's Philly Dallas.
No,
Absolutely.
I switched out some of the games.
No, I know we've gone in a
there is
different
only-
order, but at 4:00 on Sunday this week, Pat, there's actually only 3 games on.
Yeah, because Philly Dallas is America's game.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Chargers, Jets, and the Cowboys game. Yeah,
I like Dallas here. I'm just going to take these extra points. The game for the division, which could play a factor in Brown's status, Pat, is the Thursday nighter, potentially to keep pace with Washington 4 days after this one. I'm going to take Dallas in these points. I bet you it could be even more than 7.5 by its time when it's time to actually bet it, though.
yeah. Tim, this is a game I have no real feeling about.
Only that I have zero faith that Cooper Rush is going to make any difference for this dead team, and I will tease the Eagles down.
Are you taking Philly minus 7.5
Yeah,
as well?
I am.
Philly with
It's
Like,
amazing that
Dallas
Saquon...
might literally not win another game. They might just be done.
See, there it is. If they're actually done and they lose out, there's the Sanders team right there. Get rid of Dak and bring in the
shit.
Sanders. blow up
Bringing
media.
Dion back to Dallas. Yeah. Right,
Listen, there's a lot of good jokes on the internet today around the Jerry Jones trade. Like, you gave up a 4th for Mingo. It might be time for the home. It might be time for the home. Based on like how NFL math is working. That's against what feels like the current state of league math.
Okay. Detroit and Houston on Sunday Night Football. Houston is a 3.5-point dog at home in this game to the Lions. Trying to find the latest Nico Collins news, because if he is not back, Detroit might be my super lock, because their offense is abysmal. They can't block anyone. Obviously, Detroit just bolstered their defensive line, and the one thing that Houston can really do is get home, but Detroit has an amazing offensive line, and they can kind of beat you any which way right now, and if they're not going to get in Goff's face and cause him to try to make a bad decision, I don't see how Houston's going to stop Detroit, Tim.
You took the words out of my mouth. I like Houston. I like Detroit a lot in this game. I don't think Houston. I watched enough of the Texans last week to see that there has been some level of regression at the quarterback position, and they don't seem to have an. And they win all their games by like coin flips and at the last second. Like, when was the last time the Texans confident? I guess when they played the Patriots, it was the only time that they like really confidently took a team apart. I don't like them here at all. I like Detroit, playing in a dome, a road dome. I feel about that. I'm going to take the Lions.
Nico Collins is probably 50-50 at best to play this week, Geoff. And with this they have the division basically wrapped up, especially if the Colts lose again this week. That I think they just need to try to get everyone healthy to try to put forth their best effort towards the end of the season. And they cannot have Stroud under that much duress like he was last Thursday against the Jets, because he's going to get hurt.
Yep. And they're sometimes afraid to throw on early downs anyway. I wouldn't be shocked
If you get a Stroud ceiling game and they're great, yeah, absolutely.
if it just turns into like a really fun, close game, prime time to end the week. But sitting here right now, I've just got to take these points with what just seems like such a Detroit running a machine. But Detroit's value might be higher than ever right now.
But it doesn't feel that way, because it feels like it should be more than that then, because I really do think that if you price this at 5.5, people would bet on Detroit. We just watched Houston get beat by the Jets. Like, this seems like the perfect zag spot to take Houston, but I think Houston's kind of a dead fish at the moment. They can get it back when they get healthier, but just I don't see, like, they're just not good.
I'm so broken by this league at times that, like, exactly what you said, which is the dumbest thing. Like, I feel like we're trying to get got, and we're trying to get got in prime time. And I know that's such a dumb way to look at it. I'm picking the Lions here. I'm not ready to pull an actual trigger on it. Something feels a little more spicy about how this game might actually play out to me.
Monday night, Dolphins at the Rams. The Rams are favored by 2.5. The Rams, I don't know. does anyone have any like cogent takes on the Rams and how they're actually going to look? One week they look great, the next week they look like absolute dog shit.
I like the Dolphins to cover the number.
How come?
They played close the last couple of weeks. Fast track, indoors. Not like there's going to be any fans to disrupt what they want to do on offense.
Why are you taking shots at the Rampede?
It's a relatively sterile environment on a fast track. If the Dolphins can't score and be competitive here, where can they be? I like this spot for them, so I will take the Dolphins.
I mean, I don't know if the Dolphins have to win this game for them, but if Mike McDaniel cannot take advantage of this dog shit middle portion of this Rams defense, that a linebackers, they almost play blind, you would think, with their helmets on backwards. If he can't dial shit up to expose that, I mean, I don't know how you can get more panicked about the Dolphins and him, but you certainly would. That is a coach who has had quite an easy trajectory. I mean, obviously he's had some stuff in his life. I don't want to deep into that, but this is a guy that I don't think he's ever been around like shaky waters in his NFL coaching career, both as an assistant with the 49ers and with the Dolphins. And we saw it happen this year, and they just can't. They've been taking on water. They can't get the water off the boat. I don't want to have to pick this game, though.
Take the
Dolphins.
You're obligated to do so. I'm just going to take the Rams. Like, if it comes down to Stafford versus Tua, give me Stafford. And it's funny when we behind the scenes, we took a break just before Cust Corner. I was talking with Paul and Jared about Geoff, and I guess one of the reasons why I struggle with Detroit, and maybe it never comes down to this, maybe it doesn't matter. But if the game was on the line and you needed someone to come back with 56 seconds left and no timeouts, would you feel like Geoff would be the guy that you would want, Tim?
Wouldn't be my first choice, or second or third. No.
So let me throw this out to you. Would you rather have Stafford or Geoff in that situation? Because I'd rather have Stafford.
Stafford, he's won a Super Bowl. He knows what he's done it. I would pick Stafford.
Trent Dilfer has won a Super Bowl. You wouldn't.
No, but I would pick Stafford in that spot. But I would take him over like Brock Purdy.
I think that's pretty. Honestly, that I feel like that's close to me in my mind, at least.
I've just been trying to say I think Stafford might have made the throw of the year last week.
Oh, that was so beautiful! It dropping it in between three dudes, and I even put out I retweeted that clip. It was just like, this is everything that we thought Jay Cutler was, but he wasn't. That's actually Stafford.
It was incredible. I would obviously take Stafford if I needed a minute and I needed to get down the field and I need to sling it, and I needed a guy who would be willing to die and take the hit in order to sling it. Stafford over Geoff for me. I will probably regret this pick. This is a game where come Monday, I could easily end up betting the Rams, but for now, I'm just taking the Dolphins. Is it weird? Do we care?
Oh, he was going to say something very bad.
Monday nighter out west, or
say that again. You, on my end, at least, you got choppy a little bit. I didn't hear what you said.
Like, it's a midnight start for the Dolphins, no?
Oh, so it's going to be great for the cocaine Dolphins. They'll be up all night.
I guess 11 p.m., but I'm still taking the Dolphins. They're so weak. They have holes all over the place, too, especially on their defense. Like Tim said earlier, Dolphins and Jags legit shocked those rosters didn't change today.
I just don't have any faith that the Dolphins can stop anyone. That becomes an issue. The first tweet I've seen is actually from Baroff about the election, Geoff. They flashed up like the first results, and it's in New Hampshire, and it's tied 50-50 with 3 votes in from each side. So anyone who took the under on turnout is the winner.
No, that's the thing that was like midnight on Monday.
Yeah.
Hicksville Notch.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't stand that.
Why? What do you have against it?
It's so lame. It's so self-officious.
Do you think that one of the 6 people who shows up to votes brings mozzarella sticks, but the onus is on the pollsters to make it for them?
No, I'm sure they don't.
I have my hardcore Trumper friend. Like, I'm getting fed with texts and poly markets and what's tightening up. But I'm trying to like I'm just in for the humor. I will the internet's gonna win. One of the parties is gonna win, but the biggest winner tonight is those of us internet fans.
Now,
I love the internet.
you're going to have to really siphon through to find the actual funny stuff because there's just going to be people mad. Regardless of the outcome,
Okay,
people
you're
are going to
right.
be mad. And it's going to be annoying, is what it's going to be.
Pat, I got caught up on the For You side of Twitter today.
Oh, that is a revelation. That can't be for anyone, right? No one's For You tab should look like mine
it would
does.
be like
it's not for me.
Can I just put this in a different context? Like, okay, so my Twitter knows I like the Chargers, but For You would show me the Chargers getting their heads blown off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of in a different context. It's like, holy shit, I don't want that on anyone. Like the algo knows this guy loves the Chargers, so we get a lot of Chargers stuff. But there's certain things I don't want. You don't know me. For me, you don't know me.
What's your For
That's
You?
my purse. I don't know you.
What does your For You look like, Tim?
I very rarely am on it, but like if I am, I'll
No, but it's accident. No one's on it on
is.
purpose. I believe no one goes
if I
to
run
it on
it,
purpose.
I always know pretty quickly when I'm on it. It's like, there's no way I follow that person. I'm like, oh no, of course I don't. I'm on For You.
Super locks. Actually, can you recap your teaser for us, Tim?
Absolutely. Okay. It is taking down Baltimore, the Chiefs, the Bears, and Eagles, and taking up the Jets.
All 6 points?
Yeah.
Okay. And super locks for the week. Tim, you're in last, so you're up first.
Okay. This is a tough one because there's a couple I like quite a bit. Goodness, I'm being very, very indecisive.
All right,
here.
Geoff, you're up.
I'm gonna take San Francisco over Tampa here.
San Francisco minus 5.5. Geoff, I am actually
Yeah,
taking your team minus 7.5 at home against the Titans. Chargers. Bolt up,
You're
baby!
a wagon. You're a wagon, baby. Let's go, Patty. Let's go.
I'll take Detroit.
I like that one too. Detroit minus 3.5 on the road.
It was Detroit or it was Tampa?
Oh, you should have went head to head with Geoff to ensure that you pick up a game.
No, it's okay.
Or is it like the Cam rule where we can't pick against each other because then we
You
can't go
hate
9-0?
San Francisco a lot, eh?
Yeah, they are the exclusive reason why I am not winning that picks pool that the five of us are in. They are the reason I'm not winning.
A pool for nothing is the reason you
I'd like
hate
to.
it.
I'd like to win. I'd like to win, especially
Listen,
when
I won that pool last
when I
year.
had to pick of the draft, and I picked the Broncos, and Rob said, "Oh, you picked one of the two teams that should have gone undrafted," and they have 5 wins for me already.
Okay,
I'd
so
like
you
to
can
win
get your
that.
credit from Rob. Okay,
No, I'd like to win that pool. It would be fun. But my first pick, San Francisco, is the reason that I am losing, and it's frustrating me to no end.
How am I doing
You're so
again?
weird.
Dead last. That's how I'm doing.
imagine it affecting how you like approach the league.
Yeah, well, it's like I finally have an incentive to want to see the 49ers do well, and they're playing terribly. Like, anyway, but you asked me why I'm annoyed by them, and I've explained it.
Okay, so now I realize your hate for them is totally illogical.
No, it's more irrational than anything.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm not a wordsmith.
Tim is, but he also brings frozen food for you to make at your own party for him. Doesn't understand why that's weird.
No, it's not weird.
Well, those are the musings of one Tim Undercust.
Tim and Cust.
It's not my name.
That is your snack of choice, though. The frozen mozzarella sticks.
I mean, it's the appetizer of the people.
Geoff, do you have a better appetizer out there than frozen mozzarella sticks?
Mozza sticks rock pretty hard. I'm not really an apps guy.
I enjoy
I like the bread basket.
I do enjoy a bread basket. You want to carb up? Give me a bread basket and some butter. We are off to the races.
Bacon
But
wrap scallops. They have a case.
I would say, yeah. I would say bacon wrapped scallops too. I like jalapeno poppers when they're not like fried. They're like cooked in the oven. That's an actual cutout jalapeno with the cheese in it and the bacon around it. Those are delicious.
Yeah, those are awesome.
But I think I would take a chicken wing over a for a frozen mozzarella stick.
No, but like a good matzo stick, like you said, Pat, from like the place you would like order it in from, not like the frozen box. But even those are good. I mean, I do like matzo sticks, which might seem hypocritical, but it's just the context in which and where they appear, I think, is important for my case on Tim. But maybe I just shot my whole argument away.
Did you try to be nice to Tim this week because someone had pointed out that you were too mean to him last week?
No,
Sure.
But in my own personal Tim, like inside baseball, you know what I was thinking about, Tim? Those guys at the President's Cup, or that guy who was like annoying me about Herbert. He liked the Browns.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely.
One of them liked the Eagles, one of them liked the Browns. But the guy who was like annoying me, he liked the Browns. So I don't even know him, but I thought about him.
And was the thought,
Don't
fuck
blame you.
him.
New biggest
Yeah,
rival.
just like I hope he's enjoying his day.
All right, that will do it on the show. Go to Underdog, use code Mayo, get one of those free picks. Like I said, Jonathan Taylor hire with the Lamar Jackson free square. If you're new and you want to build your bankroll, that is the way to do it. You use code Mayo right now at Underdog and go do that. All right? You can follow Geoff at Fienberg17, Cust at Cust. Paul and Jared, thanks for helping out. Thank all of you good people for tuning in and spending your election night with us or your election recovery day with us. Remember to download and subscribe to the audio podcast. Smash like and sub to the channel. While you're here as well, I shall return tomorrow with Cam and Rob. See you then.